Yo, I am so sorry. I apologize. I thought we were ready to go. I thought that I finally had my shit together. Uh, dude, I want this to be over with. I want this to be done with. And it just seemed like it was an impossible task. I can genuinely tell you that um, there is a very unique feeling of how much I despise Little Bill after having to listen to him spew that nonsense over and over again. It's just it's so bad. And I think it's more because what he said was just awful, factually incorrect. It's how he said it. It's how he said it. Yeah. The pre-show mixer. So that being said, I wanted to, let me fix this here. Let's actually put it above the chat. I wanted to, I don't know, show some appreciation for. All right, but now I'm too high. Ayo. There we go. For the Patreon supporters and distinguish some of the tier lists, which, that's always awkward for me and whatnot. And so I did make it early and available for Patreon supporters. I think it's just, I forgot what tier I made it for. I apologize. This was all late last night because I'm hella awkward about that stuff. But I'm like, you know what? Honestly, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on privately, and I can't get into it. And just that support is literally keeping me afloat. And I don't say that to be like, go subscribe now. But it's like, all right, cool. Like, I don't have to work crazier amount of hours, and I can still do this and invest more time into it. So, but at the same time, I don't want to like create like these, even make it more of a financial thing that already makes me weird and uncomfortable. That being said, I forgot to add the most important thing to the end of the video, and so I added it right now as I was setting up. I was literally ready to like out to go. Like I'm sitting down, I'm ready to go. I'm like, all right, cool, and I'm like, hold on, because the Patreon version is slightly different than the YouTube version, only because why would I like if you're watching on Patreon, it's because you're already a member. So in my mind, when I thought I wouldn't forget, I'm like, well, I don't want to waste people's times on Patreon and add the thank yous. I'll add it later. And the main thing is I had one person, I think, and I hope it's not more than that, ask me to not include them in the thank you, which it's fine. I'd be ashamed of listening to me as well, but I wanted to respect that. So I was about to go and just transfer over, the previous recording of it. And then I'm like, ooh, I remember that as well. And there's something like I always want to be respectful of everyone here and anyone that supports. And I don't ask, oh, why don't you want me to shout you out or anything like that? It's weird. Or why don't you want to be included? Yeah, whatever. It's fine. It's totally understandable. And so I'm like, totally forgot to do that. So I had to re-record it. Right now, literally, that's what I was doing before this. So instead of like uploading it myself earlier today to YouTube to get ready to drop, I had to like stop what I was doing to focus on that. So if you tell me like, hey, I don't want to be publicly associated with you more than being a chatter or being on the Discord, I totally understand and get it. So I just want to say thank you. I try my best to honor everyone's wishes and and all that good stuff. So if you let me know, I won't question it. I'll just do it. I might forget, but it's not malicious. And if I remember, I'm gonna like just frantically and anxiously like start doing everything I can to prioritize that, because I never want to make somebody feel like I'm disrespecting them or disregarding their wishes. Honestly, like, this is a fucking privilege. This is a privilege. To have you on the chat, to have any support on the Patreon, it's a fucking privilege, and I recognize that. And I never really thought I'd be in this situation, so I'm grateful. And as long as I remember, as long as I remember, I'm gonna do my best to, you know, abide by, you know, anything that y'all ask. Of course, within reason. So, I appreciate that. Don't. I need y'all to remember, please. I'm brown. There's always gonna have to be a possibility of disavowing me. And so, all right. So next up is the Grand Planner video, y'all. Next up is the Grand Planner video. I gotta reshoot. I believe like the intro and the middle part, which honestly it'll be fine. I'll be quick with it, and just add like fucking what feels like 30 minutes, but probably just 15. Just still a lot. And to just wrap up, especially like, so the way I'm conceptualizing it now, instead of doing it like, here's the timeline of Grand Platinum, what I'm going to do is a little bit different, and it's going to be almost like chapters. And you'll see what I'm talking about. I think that'll make it easier for me to kind of just knock out those sections, because he just won. Woo! Grand Platinum #1. And so, all right, now I can really like lock in, and whatever the Republican Party, you know, exposes him for, it's unnecessary. Anything, honestly, after his record, his war crime record, bro, anything else is unnecessary. I would even say even the Totenkopf tattoo is unnecessary. So just his fucking him being a war criminal to that fucking degree, for him to actually, I'm fucking yapping when I should be uploading this. And you know what's kind of creepy? I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a little creepy. The initial, before I uploaded it to Patreon, I was just doing one last read through. And I don't even know what to name it, honestly. Little Bill is a Zionist. But is he Jewish supremacist? Fuck that shit, bro. Yeah, I can. All right, all right. And so we're gonna be here like for 3.5 hours. And I'll cue it up right now. Mind you, I was gonna do all this before going live, and then again, I don't want to be okay, let's do the second one, being Little Bill speaks on genocide. So 5 hours, okay. No. Second title, what the fuck? I forgot that YouTube does second things now. So the first one's Little Bill's a Zionist, but is he a Jewish supremacist? I honestly do not give a fuck at this point. There's something that I want to say that I think it's not cool. But I had to edit so much of it out of Little Bill, that I don't ever want to like hear certain phrases in my life again, because I never heard them in the connotation of like something so like arrogantly and obscenely incorrect being said. I hope that's vague enough, but also if you've seen his original video, for you to understand what I'm talking about. There's certain tics and mannerisms that we are verbal, you know, crutches that we go to that normally it's just, yeah, okay, whatever. But having to listen and to re-listen, and again, yes, what he was saying was abhorrent, but how he was saying it was driving me like mad, bro. Like I would get physically angry after editing video, after editing his video, excuse me. Let's see. Oh, that's fine. We'll do that. Yeah, I'm not doing a third title, bro. Stop. We're not doing a third title. And one last thing. That's fine. Well, I thought they were doing A/B testing for the thumbnail as well. Whatever. That's fine. I appreciate y'all being so patient. This is hella annoying for me, but whatever. Okay. Oh, you guys are typing it. Man. It's not even, honestly, it's not even those. It's not even those. There's one more that you guys are missing. There's one more that y'all are missing that okay, so those, yes, those are pretty rough. There's one that I had never heard before, and I think it just might be like a more regional thing. 10 points whoever gets it. 10 points to whoever gets it, because that one was rough. Oh, submit rating. Okay. I'm gonna give y'all like a minute. I will add a card towards the end. Actually, no, it's fine. Anywho, I appreciate y'all, man. Just finished watching your take on Consciously versus CJ the Radical. Man, CJ cooked him from a former sub of Lee, by the way. Yo, CJ, man, even when we disagree, like, I just love his fucking energy, man, too. See, the problem is when I had that younger kind of I don't give a fuck energy, the problem was that I enjoyed being disrespectful. and DJ is far too like much of a good person to really like, at least anything that I've seen, to cross lines with people. when I was younger, like that was my go-to. Just to like, all right, like you want to talk shit, why hold back? We don't like each other, we don't fuck with each other. Let's just go all out. And then too often people have to be like, yo, bro, like what the fuck? I was like, I don't, he's not my friend. It's not like I have to I have to play nice. The fuck? Oh man. Okay, this is what yeah, this is the one that okay. I want the live stuff, bro. So weird. What was yeah, we'll do that one. Okay. I think we're good. Today's the 10th. No, we need the 10th, Brody. We need the 10th. It's about to be 1. Let's say 3:30 p.m. Let's do that. Oh, that's 2.5 hours. Yeah, we'll be fine. Or 4 on the dot. Yeah, we haven't been here for a minute. It's about to be 3 hours. All right, yeah, we'll do 4 p.m. Fuck it. All right, it's at 37%. I'll check up on it later. Honestly and genuinely, thank y'all for your patience. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support. I mean, man, like the way that like y'all support and just put up with my procrastination, not even procrastination, my lack of time management skills, it means a lot. It means a lot. So, are we ready to lock in? Are we ready to focus? Are y'all ready?
Any other black folk want to engage in radical activist language in this fucking chat?
Because I fucking am. We're going to start off with something that I did not know about that I think is hilarious and just highlights the fact that, look, it's funny that people are trying to like politically associate me with FD. Whatever. Could it be further from the truth? But the one thing that we do kind of share, or maybe when I was younger, it was a little bit more prevalent. I love studying like just white people nonsense, mainly like their militia movements and just their weird like secret organizations when it comes to like racism specifically. I don't care too much about like the Illuminati kind of shit, but I cared more about like the weird handshakes that they would come up with for the Klan and things like that. That to me is more interesting because the desperation to find culture after abandoning your culture, if you ever had one to begin with, to me is just, I don't know. It's like pathetic for a people that claim to be like the pinnacle of human civilization and evolution. I don't know. I just think it's funny. So with that in mind, I didn't know about this. And authors will do this every now and then. I don't know why they do this. Like they try to flex like, hey, I'm more than my genre or whatever, or I'm more than my name. YouTubers do this as well, where they'll be like, I can create a YouTube channel from the ground up. And it's like, but why? Why? Like you're successful already. Like, why do you need to do this performative ass shit? I don't get it. Stephen King's experiment publishing under a pseudonym, Richard Bachman, is a real monkey's paw situation. The success of Rage proved his writing could still attract a small yet dedicated fan base. And you're like, damn, all right, one of these people finally proved it. Awesome. Great. Like Stephen King's writing surpasses his name alone. Cool. What could possibly go monkey's paw? What could possibly go wrong? Yet a dedicated fan base of school shooters. Rage directly inspired at least 5 mass shootings in 10 years. Oh man, that is fucking hilarious. Rage inspired so many school shootings that King let the novel fall out of print. I did not know this. And I love this so fucking much that I'm gonna go into this rabbit hole. Do not be surprised. And maybe they're already look, I'll check out YouTube and see if there's already like a Rage video about this. But this is fucking hilarious to me. I love shit like this, bro. Like I love that the fact that all white people need is to read a fucking book. And they fucking strap up, bro. You know, and so it's so fucking frustrating because I've talked about this before, how I hesitated to read Blood in My Eye by George Jackson because I knew that once I read that, from everything I've seen, whether it was quotes or people referencing it, that it was going to just expose me for a fucking fraud, for an absolute coward, right? And then once you know, and once you have that truth, that reality, especially explained in such a direct manner, that you got to live with that guilt of the fact that we're not organized and that I'm definitely not doing enough to get to that place where we're actually confronting the beast the way that it should be. And so I read it, and then of course all that comes true. And we oppose adventurism here, by the way. I definitely do. So I'm not like saying like read fucking George Jackson and then immediately get to it. Of course not. I mean, he doesn't advocate for that either. But Stephen King as a pseudonym is enough to get white people out in the streets like this. Well, in the schoolyards and classrooms, but you get what I'm saying. Like, there's something about that where it's like, dude, like, you fucking Neanderthals. Like, no frontal lobe at all. Like, no fucking, you have been restricted from the consequences of your fucking actions to such an extent that all it takes is a novel. What I'm assuming, well, it's Stephen King. It might be fucking 3,000 pages, but that's all it takes for you to be like, yeah, my whole classroom gone. You know? And it's like, oh, for what? Well, they, you know, I fucking hate homework. Meanwhile, over here, we're colonized, we're subjugated, we have our identity, our culture, our spiritual practices, our knowledge, our ancestral connections stripped from us day in and day out for hundreds of fucking years. And look, there's not really much, if anything, to admire from whiteness. But at the very least, although they consider themselves above everyone else, they act like the animals that we all are, right? They act like the animals that we all are. And there's no real consequences in the animal kingdom in terms of like, nobody comes up to a lion and be like, hey bro, like, we saw what you did. And that gazelle had children. So, you know, we're going to have to work something out here. Like nobody, it's just, all right, yeah, you were hungry and you ate. Somebody crossed your territory and you made sure to correct them so they never do it again. No consequences, right? You get what I'm saying? I'm using consequences very loosely, but follow me here. We've always dealt with consequences, even when we don't or aren't the ones doing something, right? And it's a hyper policing, that constant need to keep us subjugated and in fear and immobile. So anywho, I don't think I've ever read any Stephen King. I might start off with Rage, and I'll blame him if I do anything. So just a heads up. Man. Now I'm imagining a lion tone police. Yeah. To To be fair, it doesn't take much to get white folk going. Just one girl saying no. Somebody made a post about how white men practice honor killings more than anyone else. But because it's white men, it's not called honor killings. And man, you know, I try my best to be like, man, my mind's decolonized, bro, right? But like little shit like that, I'm like, holy fuck. Yeah, how did I miss that? How did I like, wait, how? Like, nah, I need to do more reading. I need to be more critical of these white people. So yeah, definitely, without a doubt, white men do the most honor killings out there. Man. Brutal, brutal, brutal. Híjole. Okay. All right. I don't know why I wanted to start with that. Just, I don't know, to remind y'all that I find white people fucking interesting. Interesting fucking creatures. Self-destructive. Have no concept of the future other than that it belongs to them. I don't fucking know, man. It's rough. It's rough. What are we doing? Oh yeah, we're gonna do 2 articles on Mamdani, or maybe just one depending on the time. I'll let y'all pick. How about that? I'll let y'all pick. Is that fair? I think that's fair, right? I made y'all wait. Dude, I mean, I call them cancer for a fucking reason. And I'm assuming, like, is there a reason why certain colors are chosen for certain things? Let's see if this actually fucking works for once. Or is it just like random or whatever? Or just a contrast? Okay, cool. So we have this one. And then we have, I think we have one more. Where's the other one though? We're definitely reading this. I've been wanting to read this, and I think now it's more appropriate than ever. You know what I hate? I hate the fact that I'm just not like, or I try not to be, I guess, full of shit and just lying on people. It's not that one. It's this one. Or lying on people's positions, more importantly. All right. So I'm going to let y'all choose. We're going to work a little bit different, but I want to give y'all enough time. There is the Cosmonaut from the Field to the Stars, and this is on Mamdani. And then we have, sorry, we're definitely reading this, but from Emerge. Socialist governance means fun people, not police, on Zohran, Mamdani, and the NYPD. Oh, you know what? Never mind. This is like super short. We'll do both. My bad. Okay, this is just like, oh, okay, never mind. Disregard. You have no choice but to obey. All right. Yes, this is awesome. I've been meaning to read this. In fact, I thought we had read it because it was on my how many tabs do I have open right now on my phone? This is, how did I not realize I had ADHD? I don't know. I have 74 tabs open on my phone. 73 because I just closed one. But that's like what your phone is showing you. And then I have like 99 other tabs that are like, I guess in sleep mode or something, inactive tabs, they call it. Look, I'm telling y'all, I would be doing 6-hour streams like 3 days out of the week. It's just not really healthy. And I do want to say that I wasn't sure how people were going to react to me streaming less and trying to focus on the edited content a little bit more. But the response has been, I don't know, I've been happy with it so far. Because I started streaming. Like, I started doing this thing streaming. So now that I'm like, all right, people want more edited content, written stuff out, I'm down for that. I think it's more productive in the long run for sure. It's more challenging for me. And it's like longer lasting in the sense that anyone could just tune into it and just, if they're researching something, hopefully I can provide any assistance or help. Mainly keeping receipts on these fucking opportunists. Where are we at? Motherfuckers out here literally advocating for strategic Zog. And they think they're not gonna get fucking slapped up, bro. Okay. Yeah, we're starting backwards a little bit. We're going to start with this. So, I'm going to have to break this down at some point. Okay, I know how we're doing this. Just like that. Okay, I know. Okay, we're good to go. Look, I appreciate y'all for being here. Do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the alert when you want to know, or if you want to know when I go live. Memberships are on. I got to work on that as well. Patreon, $2 gets you access to the Discord, all that good stuff. Okay. Let's lock in. Thank y'all for being here. It's not that I feel partially guilty over this, right? It's the fact that I've tried my best to highlight the fact that within the Zionists, within their own hierarchies, whiteness is still supreme, right? When we're talking about Palestine and the colonization of Palestine, it's the Jewish identity. It's Jewish supremacy. I always thought that we all understood that when we call somebody a Zionist, that there's a possibility that they're a Jewish supremacist. But if they were Jewish themselves, then inherently they were Jewish supremacists. I always thought that. I thought that that was understood. So I never thought of needing to say Jewish supremacy outright, because I thought it was inherent within the definition of Zionism. And yet there are individuals who are not Jewish that consider themselves Zionists, but that would not qualify as Jewish supremacists because they probably view themselves as superior to Jews. But they advocate for Zionism for their own means. And I'm mainly talking about like the evangelical right, the Christian right. They're all Zionists, but because they want Armageddon that would require, the destruction of most of Jewish people and most non-Christian people in general. So you can't call them Jewish supremacists. It just doesn't make any fucking sense, right? These are all things I've been saying since I started streaming. Because, respectfully, I didn't think it was that complicated. Right? Not to sound like fucking Michael Brooks. I gotta pull it up because people got mad that I made fun of this. Look, I'm not saying he was a bad person. I'm saying that objectively speaking, Michael Brooks might be the most fucking overrated white that there is. Why is that so that triggering to people? I don't get it. What did he do? What did he accomplish in life? And I want his legacy to be Anna Kasparian going to the right. I want his legacy to be Sam Cedar claiming that the Zionist project should not disappear. I want his legacy to be Emma Vigeland saying that Israel has a right to exist because it does exist. That's what I want his fucking legacy to be. I want his legacy to be Ben Burgess kissing Joe Rogan's ass. That's what I want his legacy to be. only because not only what he did is so fucking overrated. And mind you, I enjoyed his show. It was just, it's these rad libs that he surrounded himself with. I don't know why, to prove he was like the most radical person or the most intellectual. I don't fucking know. If you're around rad libs, yeah, you're gonna feel fucking intelligent, bro. Yeah, you're gonna be feeling like a fucking revolutionary next to them. Of course. I don't do that. I definitely don't fucking try to do that. If anything, fucking my coworkers are reactionaries that make me feel soft. Yeah. Bro, I walked into our locker room and I was looking for someone, and so they weren't there, so I see the guys hanging out in there, and I'm like, now I'm about to walk out, and then literally I hear fuck Fidel Castro. Mind you, none of these fuckers can tell you one thing about Fidel, right? Soto Amiya, thank you so much for the super chat over there at Deculturation Live. Interested in your thoughts on More Perfect Union. They seem to capitalize on class consciousness, but funnel to the Democratic Party in American exceptionalism. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, you know, there's like even like the what is that organization? Is it the Working People's Family Party or something like that? What was it called? Working Families Party. Yeah, the Working Families Party. When I first heard of it, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I love the fucking name. And I hate how all these, like, what end up being Democratic Party fucking sheep herding organizations have, like, really cool names. I don't know. Maybe that's too broadly speaking, but I love the name of Working Families Party. I think that's fucking badass. WFP, right? Even the initials work. And who wouldn't want to support the Working Families Party? Thank you for the super chat again. Also, MPU doesn't seem to care about white supremacy and imperialism being tied to capitalism. It's always going to be very difficult to find an organization who will fit all your criteria, right? And so I tell people, like, just be realistic that you're not going to find the perfect thing unless you want to start it, which is like a lot of work, but also like I would never feel comfortable doing that because I'm already doing this. Like, how much more attention do I fucking need, right? And lots. No, just so don't blame me. Blame my childhood. So, but there's certain things that is like, can we just, that there's fundamental things to be anti-capitalist, to be anti-imperialist, to be supportive of anti-colonial movements, of decolonization. Like, can we just agree on these basic fucking things? And that it seems to be too fucking difficult. And that's so fucking frustrating. Thank you for the super chats. I hope I answered your question. See, I'm always confused with this stuff. But I appreciate y'all. Okay. That's great. It's Working Families Party. They've been tap dancing for a while. Yeah. I'm not sure. Workers World Party, if what their association or like whether they were an influence to Working Family Party. No, I think probably, I don't know the history or the origins of the Working Families Party, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these organizations start as Democratic Party operations from the very jump. All right. But thank you for that question. Oh, but yeah, I was saying, walk into our locker room. Everything's good. We talk a little shit like always. Walking out, immediately, fuck Fidel Castro. But I fucking like just have so much love for these fucking cabrones, man. Like they really do make showing up to work. Because I've been, and I've talked about this before, and we'll move on. But look, if you worked in a work environment where like the people are just shit, whatever the job is, instantly becomes almost unbearable. You could have a difficult job, and if you have a good crew with you, if you got cool coworkers, bro, like you might hate clocking in and clocking out, but you're excited for whatever fucking buffoonery is about to ensue. And what helps is like I don't really take what they say about my politics personally because les vale madre. They don't fucking care. They just know that they just want to talk shit to me. It's what they want. Another great little thing. Not to come off anti-Jamaican, right? So stick with me. But there's an individual, hilarious as hell. Love playing dominoes with him. Just I've learned a lot from playing dominoes with him. But this guy is blue MAGA for sure, right? And he'll tell you, and he's great. And somebody that is not really politically engaged, but loves to call out men for their shit, which, you know, I appreciate. We're talking because he asked me about Grand PLATNER, and I'm like, who, the Nazi? And I'm not going to do his accent. Do I do his accent to him? Yes. Should you be upset and angry at me for it? Have at it. Does he talk shit back and say some ridiculous shit back at me? Of course, right? It's just, again, it's the type of relationship that you have with people and what they allow, what you allow and stuff like that. I think I've mentioned one of my favorite interactions was with the Filipino homie and an Indian homie who, anyway, when those two start mocking each other, I don't give a fuck who you are. You're dying laughing, right? So anyhow, but no. So we're talking shit, and he asked me about Grand PLATNER, and I'm like, who, the Nazi? And then we start fucking going at it, right? And I'm just like, I'm having a good time. I love this shit. And the homegirl goes, hey, so-and-so, you're a big Democrat. Who'd you vote for? It was always my assumption that he voted for Harris because during that time, we talked about it, and I was pushing back against, you know, how he was advocating for Harris. I didn't pick up on the fact, right? And this is my failure. I've had a couple like Jamaican homegirls break it down to me, but I completely forgot, or I don't know why I didn't think about it. I thought maybe his politics would supersede this. I think y'all know where I'm going with this. He would not admit who he voted for. And you would think that somebody that is like a blue MAGA would talk about, yeah, I voted for Harris. Like, why wouldn't I? And then by the way, like I'm half paying attention to the bullshit that we're spewing. And then I turn and I look at her and she's fucking smiling from ear to ear. She's like, who'd you vote for? And then it clicked. And I start fucking dying laughing. I'm like, how did I never think of this? How did it not cross my mind? And then she was like, you don't think women should lead? And then the fucking break room went fucking crazy. It was such a great time. Yeah, man, I cannot ask for a more enjoyable workplace. So yeah, great fucking people. And again, no one is malicious, or at least no one that I fucking talk to or fuck with is malicious or resentful or any of those things. But it's just always a good time. It's always a good time. Yeah. All right. Where are we? Oh, there's nonsense.
And notorious anti-Semitic people agree with versus like, you know, seeing this as more of a complex issue where it is wrong what's going on, and that there's also a way to do this, that Israel still exists and is supported?
So it's not a complex issue. That's the big thing. It's super simple.
And for whatever reason, Sam Cedar and all these fucking liberals try to make it difficult when it isn't. They're a white savior deity. Michael Brooks said it himself. It's not a complicated issue. It's super simple. The goal of especially the liberal Zionists, is to make it as complicated as possible. It isn't. And so for me, it was a given that a Jewish Zionist is a Jewish supremacist. How else would they rationalize stealing Palestinian people's land? How else would they justify exterminating another group of people? You have to view yourself as superior to them. Linsack says, when I go to the sheriff's office, I can't imagine talking to my coworkers about anything but work. Well, you know. No, for sure. I mean, I'm kind of afraid that I've been so fucking, like, I feel like an outdoor dog at this point. And so, chicayejero, like, I'm afraid that if I ever go into a white collar, like, job or office, like, I'm just gonna lose it. And I'm gonna end up in HR. You know, like, I'm afraid of that for reals, because some of the shit I say there, I wouldn't even say it like here, and I won't. Oh, and if I'm bored, God help you if I'm fucking bored, because the white voice is coming out. All right. So it's not complicated. Yeesh. Tell us how you really feel. All right. So it's not complicated at all. So why am I talking about this, right? Why do I have this up on screen? Well, I thought we were all on the same page. I didn't realize how far off the mark a lot of people are. It's not complicated. Zionism, the Zionist project, is a Jewish supremacist venture, right? That is birthed from white supremacy. I mean, most of these fools were atheists. So it's not like a religious thing. They concocted in their minds that they're a unique fucking species, group of fucking people. And because of that, Jewish supremacy is the law of the land. Not white supremacy. White supremacy rules within the Jewish supremacist society, right? And I'm talking about strictly Jewish people, not non-Jews within the Zionist project when I talk about society, right? So within, they have these hierarchies that still uphold white supremacy. I made myself very clear about this throughout the years. But at large, it's about Jewish supremacy. Again, I've said this time and time again. People can try to like misrepresent what I'm saying. I don't care. There's more than enough evidence to demonstrate that I've been holding this line for a while. So this individual, well, I don't think I've ever followed him or them. My bad, I don't know. Philly Black Marxist. Bao been following me around Twitter because I don't agree with Bad Empanada about using anti-Jewish slurs, because whatever bullshit argument calling me a liberal Zionist, a good goy, etc., the moment I told him I support military action against Israel until they submit, he switches up. I wholeheartedly believe this whole discourse is Zionists invading the space and tugging at the most reactionary of the left to validate themselves. There's no world where having a disciplined line is seen as something we should argue about. LOL. Yeah, I think so. Or is Bao, I think I might have, because I know I'm saying it wrong, but I think I might have heard it in terms of referring to women. Or am I wrong? Look, why? Well, hold on. I'm not Googling this, all right? I try not to do this too much, but chat, educate me. You can laugh. You can laugh at me, but break it down for me, please. Or don't. Or tell me to figure it out. It is Philly slang. I thought so. Here's why. Because I watch Abbott Elementary. Now I'm kidding. It's actually really hot there. I feel like I should bring the dog in here, but he's such a brat. Okay, so where are we? This is why I was so frustrated with the conversation. Tell me if the AC unit's too loud. Actually, it was too loud for me, and I can't hear myself think. Okay, yeah. It means boy, but it's bull. Okay, so then what's the equivalent for women or girl? Because I think that's why I was kind of associating it with girl, because I think I've heard it in contrast with, or using it for boy and girl, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm explaining myself. All right, appreciate y'all. Thank you for letting me know. So let's refocus here. In the FD Banana conversation, Banana continued to switch up between Zog slave and Goy slave, switching back and forth because he's fucking disingenuous, right? If he only called Black Red Guard a Goy slave, then the conversation would be like, hey, maybe don't call black people slaves. Just maybe. I don't know if that's too difficult, but just something to consider. That would be the conversation. Because he uses Zog slave, the conversation is like, hey, it's already weird that you're calling black people slaves. But when you're doing it while advocating and pushing and promoting neo-Nazi propaganda that's meant to defend the WASP, the white race, right? You're kind of just telling on yourself the whole way. Because not only are you just completely being disrespectful to a black person and their history, but also you're doing it while advocating for neo-Nazi white supremacist propaganda. A little too much. A little too much. Yeah, I thought about doing that on OBS, but then it kind of messes up when I speak as well sometimes. But if you can hear it, let me know. And so, okay. The fact that Banana was switching between Goy slave and Zog slave, when Goy slave was not part of the conversation, he put it into the part of the conversation, and FD failed to just dismiss it completely and say, that's not what you wrote. That's not what we're going to talk about. Stop bringing it up. You're using it to try and misconstrue what you're doing. He didn't do that, so he kept switching back and forth. And because of that, you have people like this individual, Philly's black Marxist, now talking, now expressing themselves to believe that good Goy is somehow like what, fucking anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish slur. Understand that Goy is what they refer to us. They're smart enough to do it behind closed doors and just amongst themselves. And when 4chan and all these fucking Redditors and the alt-right, these reactionaries, fucking white supremacists got a hold of it, yeah, they call each other or other people they disagree with Goys, right? And that's usually a signal that you're dealing with a white supremacist. However, that was before October 7th. And the only people that were really trying to expose through using, their own language, Jewish people, were neo-Nazis here in the States. Because of Jewish exceptionalism, because we've been conditioned and raised in school to feel more pain and more sympathy for European Jews than our own communities, brown, black, colonized, subjugated, enslaved, you name it. We've been raised and taught to be more defensive and sympathetic for them than our own people. They don't give a fuck about us. They've benefited and participated in our subjugation. The moment that we don't align with their interests, they have betrayed us time and time again. And understand that one of the main reasons you don't really hear me talking negatively about Afro-pessimism is because I understand that the brown community has abandoned the black community time and time again in their pursuit of proximity to whiteness. Another thing that I've been talking about since day one. So with all that in mind, Goy is not today, when exposing the Zionist project and trying to highlight Jewish supremacy and Zionism at large, is not an anti-Jewish fucking dog whistle. It just isn't. Post October 7th, we could have a conversation about before October 7th, where I'm like, yeah, honestly, the only people that you're going to hear using that are straight up neo-Nazis. If they're speaking English, right? Y ahora, way different. Now it's way different. And so I get so fucking frustrated because you're giving this motherfucker, who's a clear opportunist and consistently contradicting himself for attention and clicks, the win that he wanted. When somebody is so disingenuous that it's obvious, by switching back and forth between Zog slave and Goy slave, you gave him what he wanted. Congratulations. You gave him what... He's fucking winning, right? He's controlling the narrative. And that's fucking frustrating to me because there's so many principled voices that aren't doing this for pure opportunism. Understand, this is a man that was crying online about his daddy. This is a man that was crying online about his papa. Grown ass man typing away. I was hiding behind a light post. As a grown ass man, call me fucking machista, call me a fucking sexist. You're a grown ass man and you're not squaring up with the fool that put hands on your moms. Unless you're thinking something more effective than hands, I got no respect for you. I got no respect for you, bro. I don't dive too much into my family shit because I'm not that desperate and pathetic for attention. But people have straight up hidden things from me, lied to me in my face to avoid my fucking reaction because I don't fuck around with shit like this. But again, some men aren't fucking men. And I'm not talking about that turf shit. I'm not talking about that turf shit. I'm talking about saying let's meet face to face and not being down to meet face to face, cabrón. Now I want to make something very clear. I don't fuck with this account. One of the most annoying fucking white people I've ever ran into. And I think that the way that they criticize George over here is just on some liberal Zionist bullshit. But that's what George is good for. That's what Jorge is good for, bro. But he doesn't fucking care because he gets to make money off of this one way or another. He gets to stuff his fucking pockets one way or another. So he doesn't have to restrain himself. There's a reason why, and you see this. You know, Muhammad Al-Kurd talks about how, Palestinians are forced to police their language all the time, this and that. But even the ones that don't talk like George. Because he's incorrect. But I hate the fact that the people documenting this are individuals that are very clearly liberal Zionists. That very clearly prioritize the feelings and sentiments of Jews. So, and I honestly, y'all need to understand that when I tell you I did not watch FD, I did not watch Little Bill, right? I mean that. I did not watch Bad and Banana. I don't need shit from them. And when I say watch, I'm not saying I haven't seen a video of theirs or whatever. I haven't caught a stream or whatever. But like when I was following their work, for what? Arrogantly, I do think these motherfuckers are beneath me. And I'm too fucking busy trying to look at people that I find intellectually and their character to be something to strive for. That's who I'm trying to invest my time with. If I'm not watching absolute trash, which don't get me wrong, I can do as well. I enjoy that. Should we let them zog? Homie, this is how I know you don't organize. This is how I know you don't organize. Especially, well, fuck. Maybe you're right about Argentina. I don't know. Maybe you're proving the US propaganda machine right about Argentina, because if you try organizing like this, spewing this nonsense over here, at the very least, you're getting kicked out of that organizing space at the very least. And hopefully there's somebody there to correct you, to remind you why we don't use neo-Nazi talking points. Because the only fucking safe thing for us to do is to treat you like a neo-Nazi if you're spewing neo-Nazi talking points. For my well-being, for my fucking comrades' well-being, for my family's well-being, for my community's well-being, the only option that I have available to me if you're spewing neo-Nazi talking points is to treat you like a fucking neo-Nazi. That's it. That's fucking it. So you're smart as fuck for packing out on the words that you thought you could follow up with, that you could hold down. You're intelligent, bro. I mean, shit, homie, if you're not down to scrap for your own moms, what the fuck are you good for? What are you good for, bro? But I get it. You're upset. She stole your dog from you. I get it. And it's funny because it's like, bro, like, I don't. Saying, hey, don't use neo-Nazi talking points. Hey, you don't got to be anti-black to get your point across is deemed as defending FD. It's fucking ridiculous, bro. Bro, because he's a fucking incel. Bro, oh my God, this guy's an absolute fucking incel. It's ridiculous, but we have to hear him out. Again, don't fuck with his account. Don't fuck with him. It sucks being in a position where you don't fuck with most people that. Like a true fucking petty hater. I don't fuck with most of these people just through and through. All right.
Americans give a single fucking shit about is their own personal well-being. This much we know. So, what is there?
I love the American bit coming from an Australian. I love it. And they get mad. It's like, why do you have to focus on him being Australian? Because this whole bit is about Americans. But you're talking like you're not an Australian. Like if you're not in lockstep with America. Bro, you're not part of like, you're a Westerner. You're part of the fucking West. What are you talking about? He talks like his hands are fucking clean. I love that part of it. Over here, you'd be like, yes, I'm in the belly of the beast. Yes, I have a responsibility to organize. Yes, I have a responsibility to push left. Yes, I have a responsibility to combat fascism. Yes, I have a responsibility to the rest of the fucking world because I'm benefiting from the U.S. empire. Abso-fucking-lutely, that's all me. And I'm failing. And I'm failing. And I'm falling short. And I'm not doing enough. You've heard me say this shit since day one. I don't understand where the arrogance of somebody from fucking Australia that has the privilege, motherfucker wants to act like he had a tough childhood, the privilege to make it to Argentina. Make that shit make sense. Help me understand how that you're able to do that if you had a rough childhood. But anyhow, I don't get it, bro. An Australian. I love when Canadians do it too, because I've been talking like forever. Like I said, I remember talking to a tribe called Red. I think now they go by Hallucination. Like after the show, we're just chatting it up, and we're talking about how fucking Canada has the best PR. In second place, I've been saying it for years, is Australia, mainly because of Outback Steakhouse, mainly because of Kangaroo Jack. You know, little shit like that. Australians have that second place where Canadians are like, oh, Canadians are super nice. They're just the nicest, sweetest people. Australians have always been seen as like the cool fucking nice people, or the fucking rebel rousers, right? But I don't know. This was leading the march to rehabilitate the image of Australia. I find that shit hilarious.
Aside from strategic zogging, what is there aside from letting them believe in the ridiculous fantasies that they too are victims of Israel? You know, we've seen how easily these people abandon Palestine recently, just because Zohran Mamdani offered them free bus rides or lowered bus fares or whatever, and, you know, rental freezes. And that was enough to get them to be like, well, he might be allied with Brad Lander and be openly organizing a liberal Zionist, anti-Zionist alliance, and, you know, have Jessica Tisch as his police commissioner, and be backtracking on, you know, his years of activism where he said he would never do that. But you know what? Rent freeze, baby. I don't give a fuck. If I can pay $200 less per month on my rent, I don't give a shit. That he doesn't leverage his power to try and help Palestine ever, and does the opposite. Not a big deal. With that in mind, if that even works on supposedly pro-Palestine left-wing people, then what option is there aside from to tell those people, you know what? Israel raises your rent. You know why egg prices went up $1? That was Benjamin Netanyahu. He did that himself. You know where the money from the egg price going up $1 went?
So this is all a joke to him, right? Which is the whole alt-right fucking playbook nonsense. It's kind of like just joke about everything, make it so over the top so nobody knows what your true intentions and feelings are. The moment that I bring up the fact that he was advocating for the genocide of the Inuit people of Greenland by saying that he wanted the US to colonize Greenland, because somehow while he's comfortable as a gentrifier in Argentina, that would bring the end of NATO, as if NATO would collapse over fucking Greenland. You think they care about Inuit people? You think the rest of fucking NATO is going to prioritize the Inuit people's safety and well-being? Or maybe you want to talk about the resources, as if they haven't fucking bowed down to the US and sacrificed their own resources or their ability to maintain access to resources for the US. It just, again, even politically, it doesn't fucking make sense, but he's able to get away with this, and you hear his audience excuse it time and time again because, oh, he was just joking. Oh, it's just like, he didn't really mean it like that. And it's, for me, it's just kind of like, bro, like, this can't be your entire shtick. Right? And you notice how he uses a lot of the fucking techniques of the alt-right for that fucking reason, because it gets him attention. I mean, we're talking about him. That's what he wants. That's what he craves, because his daddy didn't give it to him. Or maybe his father gave him attention just in the wrong fucking way. But anywho. That's the frustrating part with engaging with this, is that they're just going to chalk this up as him joking. I mean, even look at the title. Should we let them zog? That's fucking hilarious.
To Israelis, they personally raised the price of the egg. And they were laughing the whole time as well. They were laughing about it. They were like, I'm going to build a third house in the West Bank with the money from these American eggs. That's what we tell them.
There's something unique about like theater kid humor. And again, like I experience and understand this very intimately because I remember having zero period with one of the theater kids, and just I'm the worst person in the mornings. It takes me like a legit fucking hour to really wake up. Like I could be up, brushing my teeth, getting ready, blah 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 blah, doing everything. I could be up. I could be driving. I still need like an hour to be like, oh shit, yeah, I'm awake. Like, oh yeah, okay, here's the day. It's just the way my fucking brain works. So here I am, fucking zero period, because I want to get out of school early to get into fucking, some nonsense. And so I hate it so fucking much. And I think it was biology to make it even fucking worse. At least not English. Although I did have one year with English zero period. That was rough. This theater kid, already 100% ready to fucking go first thing in the morning. Ready to sing, ready to reenact scenes, ready to fucking do all that shit. So I would rile him up because at least I could point him in the right direction. And everybody's annoyance at him and me for working him up woke me up and just energized me early in the morning. It was like a cup of coffee, like, ooh, like, yes. People are annoyed. I'm good. I'm content. And so you see kind of like the desperation, the need to try and be funny by being like, look at it. It's so cute. It's so fucking adorable, bro. Like it's very childlike, right? And I'm not trying to infantilize white men like this, but you can see that he's like, he didn't have friends. His dad didn't let him have friends, and even if he did, it was gonna be tough anyways for him. And so you can see it in his eyes, Chico. You can see in his eyes, he's like, yeah, they're gonna laugh at, they're gonna eat this one up, they're gonna love this one. It's like, all right, bro, we get it. It was rough for you. It's probably fucking a walk in the park for the rest of us, but it was difficult for you. And
tell them. Strategic Zog. And you're gonna be like, oh, but it's wrong. I don't give a fuck. Who gives a shit if it's wrong? They didn't care when we were telling them the right thing, did they? They only care about their own fucking pockets. They only care about their own treats. And we need them to do something. As far as I'm concerned, having them believe something that's false is a lesser evil over even one more Palestinian child being killed.
You have centrist liberals like Destiny and Hutch who try and claim or present it to their audience that tankies, and they call anyone a tanky, right? Anyone to their left is a tanky, from Hassan Piker to Brianna Joy Gray to George Badempana. They're all tankies according to Destiny and Hutch and all these centrists. They're all tankies. Everyone's a tanky, right? It's fucking pathetic. But the one thing that I noticed that they've been doing consistently is saying like, these pro-Palestinian people are weaponizing the death of Palestinians to essentially like enrich themselves or to spew their own personal nonsense. And it's unfortunate when you have people to the right of you making, correct analysis, but in for the wrong reasons, I guess. So here, Badempana is saying like, no, yeah, like we should support neo-Nazi propaganda because of Palestinian children. And it's like, that's so strange that I've never heard a Palestinian person like advocate for this ever. I've never heard a single Palestinian person ever advocate to promote Zionist propaganda in order to combat Zionism. But George, an Australian, a white son of a Greek father with some hands, apparently. No, he understands. And by the way, this is just tailism, right? This is just tailism, you know, the same way that Hassan Piker, his fucking hero, says that he's not doing entryism while doing entryism, highlights the fact that they're just full of fucking nonsense, right? Bad Empanada is doing or advocating to do tailism because somehow that's going to bring a positive change. I don't fucking get it, man. I don't care if he's fucking autistic, bro. I don't care if he's autistic. All these fucking white people are something. All these fucking white people are something. He reveal that he has like he twitches, what's the word I'm looking for? Same thing that Ethan Klein, it makes sense. Colonizers. What's the word? Tourette's. Didn't he reveal that he had Tourette's? Like, oh my gosh, bro. Perpetual fucking victims, these people. Perpetual fucking victims. How many of us? I'm pretty sure this is the same thing in the black community, but in the brown community, especially first generation, you don't have any of this shit. You know what you have? You have a lack of fucking discipline. You know what you have? A lack of fucking self-control. You know what you have? La pinche chancla, throwing your fucking weight if you don't fucking behave and control yourself. That's what we had. That's what we had. Fucking A, bro. I don't think he has Tourette's, by the way, to be honest. I think he has PTSD from catching them hands. Fuck this Sue and his whole fucking family. Anywho, not what I was talking about. Not what I was focused on. This is what I'm focused on. If you're going to step into the realm and speak over Palestinians and prioritize Jewish people, I think it's acceptable to make these type of comparisons. It's Jim Crow, and we need to hold a disciplined line for 5 white people. Make first worlders be damned. Again, when you're out here saying that Goy is anti-Jewish, when that's what they've been calling us behind your fucking back, is beyond me. Lindsay getting canceled for that. You can't cancel me over white people because they're not people. Remember? They're not part of the human race because they're above us. They're beyond us. They're greater than us. That's why George can tell us and Palestinians and black people what and how to behave and what to do and how to think, because they're superior than us. And so they respond, I don't give a fuck about white people. And again, it's the whole little bill thing. Do you consider these Jewish people that you're defending white or not? The discipline line for us making the arguments that make it easier for the masses to confuse us for reactionaries is how you get co-opted. It's too fucking late, but okay. All because you want to be an edgy teen with a literal incorrect analysis, instead a liability to the movement. You're the real reactionary pedants people like Malcolm X would rebuke. Let's listen.
Are you anti-Semitic?
Anti-Semitic?
You've many of the things that I've read about you, and you've made a mention a couple of times about the Jews and everything, and I'm wondering if you are personally anti-Semitic.
No. How can I be anti-Semitic when the Arabs are half the Muslim world is Semitic? If I was anti-Semitic, I'd be anti-Arab and anti-everything else. No, I think that in this country, there's one mistake that the Jews make, they put themselves in a position where whenever anybody gives an objective analysis of the role that they play, they defend themselves by accusing you of being anti-Semitic. In a Negro.
So for the Little Bill video that's dropping today at 4, we said 4, right? I do this when I talk about anti-Semitism. Because I do hate the fact, and I've been in like private conversations with Palestinians who like are still super, super annoyed at this, to say the least, that they've co-opted Semite from them. That even the term anti-Semitic is a form of colonization, a form of sealing the Semitic identity. Europeans cosplaying to the fucking point that we call them Semitic people. That we say that if you're against them, that you're anti-Semitic. Well, how the fuck are we anti-Semitic against these European Jews when they're not fucking Semitic people? That is a fucking born of Africa. That is something that I was going to bring up, but I wanted to wait till this actual video to see whether or not it qualified. While you're correct, I don't think it qualifies in this position, regardless of what era this was. Chetty Maka says, this is why I started using European, since it seems like many of them are arguing over the whites category they created. Can't argue over Europeans and the diaspora they imposed on the rest of us. Sorry. Yeah. Diaspora? The cult part. Come on. Come on. Don't get me in trouble, yo.
Negro is not anti-Semitic when he says that the man who's exploiting him in his community is white, because it is a white man who owns all the stores. Now, is it an accident that these whites who own these stores are Jewish? If it's an accident, then the fact that he says the Jew on the corner is exploiting me isn't an anti-Semitic statement. It's just more descriptive of the man who's exploiting him.
Again, we don't have these reactions when we talk about white Catholics. We don't have these reactions when we talk about white Protestants. We don't have these reactions, or God forbid, a fucking white Buddhist. God damn, bro. If you want to know what white supremacy really is, find yourself a white person that's into like some bastardized Eastern, their fucking version of Orientalist fucking portrayal of a religion. Now we're talking about white supremacists, right? A white Hindu? Fucking forget about it, bro. Forget about it. You better fucking run. I just tapped back in for the fucking Instagram logo. All right, there's more to this, but I do really got to move on from it because we're short on time. That's my fault. That is my fault. Yeah. Go into a yoga class. You're going into a yoga class? I don't know if I can say this. That's fucked up. Okay. I got to say, okay, look. I got to say it because I don't want to present myself as a good fucking person that's got it all figured out and that has all the fucking things. Right? Figure it out. This is what I was going to say. Going into a yoga class is like going into a sundown town. Correct me if I'm wrong. Going into a yoga class is like going into a sundown town. It's just, you better get in and out. You better get in and out. And everyone, no matter how nice they're being towards you, fucking hates you and wants you out of there as soon as possible. All right. But that's some good cheese, man. But the reason why I wanted to connect this to this article that I've been wanting to read, I swear I thought we read this. Or maybe I just seen like the art before. Or have we read something by Lara before? You're gonna get murked by white women in yoga pants. Worse, Linstack. They might try to get my information. Ay. Come on, bro. That might be the first fucking word. That might be the first word that I had to actually manually restrict in the chat because it grosses me the fuck out, man. I know it's funny when Dr. Umar says it, but generally, like, just, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm being sensitive, but like hearing that fucking phrase is so fucking like gross to me. All right. So the reason why I chose this article is because I really do appreciate the title of it. And again, highlighting the fact that the way that opportunists that want to like be the young Norman Finkelstein, like George over there, the way that they move. I'm not saying you can't say it. I'm just saying it fucking grosses me out, man. Because you have to understand, like, the image of that for me because I've seen it, I witnessed these things. It's just immediate in my mind is like a either crop top or spaghetti strap top, right, kind of thing, with like either fresh stains or like a white one that has like old stains on it. We're talking Cookie Monster pants. Pinche chongo, like over here. Incessant use of the N-word. On the back of their phone, a photo with her, or yeah, with her, with her and her man, to put in your face every time she says the N-word. And so it's more a repulsion of them than it is anything else. Tell me I'm wrong. What he calls Asians is worse. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Shout out to Dr. Ball. What was that conversation that I just had? I'm really bad with names, so give me a second. Oh no, I'm not arguing its accuracy, Linstag. I'm not arguing whether it's not like what it is. I'm saying being reminded of them. It's like when I read that word or hear it, like that's what comes in, the image that comes into my mind. It's like kind of like I'm being assaulted. It's like like make it go away. Ode to John Trudell does not know the Cookie Monster pants. All right. I don't even know. I've never even heard of chicken head before. Okay, I need to focus. We need to focus in today. Jesus. What are we doing? Oh yeah, Dr. Ball just had a conversation. What's homeboy's name? It always takes me a bit to learn people's names, not to be like flexing or anything like that. I'm just not great with names. Suited. Yeah, that was that conversation, right? Because I watched this one. This just happened 1 day ago. Yeah, I was in their chat. Suited. There's a couple of moments here that stuck out. I was in the chat while at work, working hard, and look, honestly, because of where we were staying at early on, I did not really interact with white people. And so the racism that I experienced early on that was most noticeable to me and prevalent was from Asian people. Right? And so like the older people around me were more anti-Asian than they were anti-white, because there wasn't white people that we were in proximity with. And so there was some like anti-Asian sentiment that I had to unlearn. And then because where I went to college, it kind of like a lot of those emotions came back. A lot of that anger and resentment came back because of the way they were still treating me, funny enough. I think for whatever reason, like for the most part, white people would just avoid me in general. But like I felt like especially Asian men would try and go out of their way to provoke me. I do not know why. And these were white or fair-skinned, affluent, Asian men. And mind you, I was in my 20s, they were in their 20s. And I don't understand it. I don't get it. I always found it kind of funny because of just media. Like there's nothing intimidating about you that I've been programmed to fear. Like I don't find you threatening in general, but not even society has your back by making you appear threatening. Access Audio, thank you for super chat. I also feel like Dr. Umar not practicing how dare you? Just because I was super chat, I would ban you for suggesting, even hinting at the idea that Dr. Umar might be a hypocrite. And you're the reason why he's unable to get his school accomplished. Because of the smearing that this leader, a true leader, has to go through. Yeah, so fucking bad. That's interesting. All right. Which, by the way, because somebody called him the Prince of Pan-Africanism, and it reminded me of EYL. The throwback days. No, I'm looking for the recent stuff. It's gonna be on. Was it this one or was it the last week? It was this one, right?
Oh man, let's just
Shout out to Geechee, but this shit made me laugh.
2 J's, man.
oh God, Jesus. This is the whole old folks home thing they be talking about right here. This one right here. I think this is the one.
I don't know Geechee so much, man. He has the patience of a saint, that man. I don't know how he does it. He's like basically running a one-man retirement home, if you think about it.
I'm not watching this for me. I'm watching this for what Diallo was about to say, which had me fucking dying.
Poor Geechee. So...
Wow.
Looking like a two Leonard Peltier.
Hey man.
Now I can't make out what he said at first. I can't, but looking like a something Leonard Peltier. And that shit had me dying, bro. I'm not gonna lie. That shit had me dying. I was like, fuck, man. I think it was the brown, the brown fucking long sleeve. I was like, fuck. Can anyone make out what he said at first? Oh man. How anyone misses EYL is beyond me. Oh, has they? Oh, that's awesome. What was it that he said? Hold on, I'm trying to find the spot. I was way further back here.
Looking like a Timu Leonard Peltier.
Yeah, Timu. That's what it was. It was Timu. Motherfucker almost choked just to get that fucking joke out. I love that. He was like, his brain was fucking moving quicker than he was chewing. I love that shit. That's why they can only have applesauce and pudding. I'm telling you. We need to investigate Geechee's standards in this retirement home he's running.
Looking like a Timu Leonard Peltier.
That was great. That was great, man. And for the record, it took him a second time watching it to come up with the jab. So I'm just saying. But no, that's awesome, man. Like, y'all know, you already know that I've been a huge fan of Diallo for fucking forever. Nobody was fucking crying because I know a lot of you were crying. I sure as hell was when EYL broke up. At this point, seeing the numbers that they're doing, I don't know if y'all catch their live streams, but those numbers, I'm throwing it out there, chat. I think the breakup was a marketing strategy. Think about it. The EYL breakup was a marketing strategy. And you can't convince me otherwise. Just look at the numbers.
Oh man, let's do some scholarly.
The numbers do not lie, right? If we actually study 5,000 views, we're talking about like 200, almost 300 live viewers. So I think what happened was Diallo, right, tells him, hey, look, we got this thing going on, but like the Beatles, we need some drama. And Dr. Ball, understanding the economics behind it all, right, the strategic psychological warfare, was like, all right, let's break up. And people are going to be chanting for what? A reunion tour. And so obviously not, bro. Obviously it's not. Obviously I'm fucking around. All right. Yeah. Hey, I'm glad that at least yeah, Leno. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm horrible at spelling, by the way. Leo. Shit, I wish I have that. I wish I can hold on to my hair at that age, by the way. Nah, man, my mustache ain't nowhere near that fucking. That's some goated shit right there. Hold on. We're gonna do this. This for Diallo. Hold on. We're doing this. I don't think he has it loose. I think he might have it like this. All respects to a real revolutionary, the real political prisoner. Man. Y'all make me fucking mess around too much. This is all right. God, if I could ever meet him, you know? Too much. All right, can we fucking focus? Can we focus? All right. How long is this piece here? Let me, what does the Dr. Ball call it? A bio break? Because it's going to be a minute. This is going to be a cool minute read. It's a Peltier. It's crazy. Yeah, let me take a bio break. Let me see what I can pull up for y'all to watch in the meantime. I mean, what haven't y'all watched that I've been yapping on? Oh, you know what? I'm hopefully going to be on... I should be on with Indy soon. I'm not sure if we locked it in yet.
Again, dehumanizing your son.
I'm not sure if we locked in the time yet, and I don't want to speak out of turn. But yeah. Yeah. Look, I'm not mad at it. You know, we have Ban Banat comparing me to Fanon, and now Diallo comparing me to Leonard Peltier. I mean, who am I to argue with these humble comparisons? Totally legitimate comparisons, right? All right, yeah, Indica. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we're talking. I'm not sure when I'll hop on again or whatnot, but there's something going on. There's another thing that might be that is already in the works that I'm super excited about. Again, I don't want to talk about it until it happens. And so look, Timo Peltier and American Frantz Fanon is what we're working with here, and I'm not mad at any of those.
The American reincarnation of Frantz Fanon.
Who am I? Okay. Oh, so when I did, there's another comparison I used to get all the time when I had shorter hair, but I always had like longish hair. So whenever I didn't like actually style it, I would have kind of like a mushroom kind of head going on, and I would look like somebody, and especially in the martial arts. In martial arts, man, the roast that I would get. All right, so yeah, this might be in the works, maybe for this week. And then there's another big conversation that I'm super fucking excited for. I was so humbled when they hit me up. And again, I gave them the usual disclaimer. I'm a shit talker. But yeah, I'm super excited for both conversations. But also, it's always different when it's a new person that you're interacting with that you've been admiring for quite some time, whose interview skills are just like fucking top tier shit. One of the reasons I don't do interviews is because how fucking locked in he is with them and how just effortless it all seems. And I always say this, if something appears to be effortless that requires effort, it's because you're putting in the work in the background. You're putting in the work when nobody's seen, right? You're doing the fucking road work. All right, I'll be right back, y'all. Do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Join the Patreon. $2 gets you access to the Discord. We have a good time there. Become a member. Super chats and super stickers are turned on. I appreciate all the fucking support. All right, I'll be right back.
As a Jew, as a white person, as a whatever, I am very careful with those kinds.
Benji's not Jewish, by the way. I don't know what you're saying, but yeah.
Well, if people want
Wait,
to
are
believe
you?
that, then they can.
No, he's not.
Oh, okay. Because
I checked.
But it's funny, actually, my mother once said.
No, I checked to see if.
Yeah.
No, check to see if he's cut or not. He's not.
Well, actually, there were people. Certainly. There were people with my last name that were Jewish. That a guy actually died in Auschwitz as a result of being Jewish and having the same last name. And my mother was a bit of a racist. She's mostly, of course, an Islamophobe, but a little bit of an anti-Semite as well. Once said something that there was Jewish blood in my family, and I sort of half believed it. But actually, my brother, who's retired now, has gone up all the way up our family tree until there are no records, so like 1500 or something. And we're just like German peasant stock from Saarland. And on my mother's side,
you're clear under the Nuremberg laws.
Well, I'm not so clear because on my mother's side, what he discovered is we've actually had a settler in North America, and settlers in Canada, and people who were one was a kind of governor of some kind of settler post or something, and one was involved in the Chesapeake battle that apparently turned the war. Or you said AOC saying that the white colonists were revolting against the billionaires. What bullshit,
Well, actually, on that subject, there's the Shays Rebellion. You know that saying from Jefferson, the tree of liberty must be watered with the blood of tyrants. That's actually from after the revolution when they put down an actual farmers' debt rebellion. Because anyway, but that's a digression. But yeah, Benji, I think that's a good point about trauma. There's this fetishization of trauma, whereas you see Palestinians are traumatized, and yet they don't fight in the same way. Like, lots of people are traumatized. There was a Gabor Mate workshop, someone doing it here, which my wife tried to drag me to, and I was like, I don't have trauma, and if I do, I don't want to know about it. Like,
like a real man.
You'll get traumatized. But Lara, in her book, and she mentioned it in a podcast also, she said like some NGO went to Palestine and took all those children that had been subjected to absolutely horrific treatment by the Zionist terror gangs and gave them standard Western trauma treatment. And lo and behold, by the end of the trauma treatment, they were showing more signs, more symptoms.
Yeah. It's like Freud psychotherapy. Like it made people crazier. Right? It like rehearses it. But look, I think the Palestinian example is important because yes, they have trauma, but then they have some way. How do they get out of it? And so what Sasha, the former co-host of this, used to say, he taught me about sumud. So sumud's like an idea of a sort of collective consciousness. You have to have some sort of collective consciousness to retreat into. And I think I don't know, not the word traumatized, but for people that whatever got plucked out of whatever their culture was in Europe, wherever, when they got, like, what do they have to go back to? What collective consciousness do they have to go back to? So that's why racism and that stuff is appealing. You talk about that guy, the homeless Nazi you met on the street, and like he's trying to cling to something, right? He's trying to find some identity. And I'm not saying we need to give that to them, but like there's got to be some sumud for white people. But where do they go besides whiteness?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because you were saying earlier, like we shouldn't call them white. But like I mentioned, like Grant Plattner getting that Celtic dog tattoo, I know that's a dog whistle. I've seen it. Whenever white people try to reconnect with their roots or their ancestors or whatnot, it's usually for white supremacist reasons. It's not out of like, let me abandon my whiteness. It's let me find out whether or not I'm a true white, right? The same thing with the Nazis, right? Once they found out that they were like, the Romans thought that they were like, the Germanic people were barbarians or whatnot. They're like, maybe let's not look into that too much, right? So there's this. I always talk about John Trudell, and I always end my streams with one of his poems, and I always credit John Trudell for saving me from becoming, I joke around a lot, but like truly anti-white to the point of like embracing the most radical forms of like Chicanismo and really like wanting the great replacement to happen, like kind of really childish things like that. Because in his live album, DNA Descendant Now Ancestor, I listened to that thing like on repeat. I would wake up and listen to it. I would go to sleep listening to it. Like that's how much I needed it, because I've always been an angry guy. And so he talks about how colonization first started in Europe, right? And how that process of removing the indigenous people of Europe from their religion, from their language, and that alongside with American Holocaust. I always forget the author's name, but he starts off the book talking about the colonization of the Irish and the pogroms of European Jews, and how Europeans mastered colonization in Ireland, mastered their brutality and their othering through the pogroms, right?
Was that Ignatius?
Excuse me?
Noel Ignatius? Was that Noel Ignatius?
David Stannard.
There we go. Yeah,
okay,
sorry. Great book. And I was kind of shocked that he was talking about that. I was really surprised that John Trudell, being the spokesperson of AIM, the American Indian Movement, whose wife was also an activist, and forgive me for my misogyny for not remembering her name, but their house was targeted by the FBI, set on fire. She was pregnant and she had her children there, and they died. And I believe her mother died there as well. And so somebody who's been through this trauma at the hands of white colonizers still found a way to analyze how colonization worked in Europe and how it developed there. And so I say that to kind of acknowledge what you're saying. You're correct, that these people have been stripped from their identity, from their religion, from their language. They are also, in a way, bastards of colonization. And they're spreading that disease, as John Trudell would say. They're spreading that colonial disease around the world. And they want to.
Yeah, I think.
Thank you for your patience with me. I appreciate y'all so much. Okay. Something that I did want to correct in this: Tina Manning, who was also organizing, who was also a threat to the colonizers. So I never want to, and I struggle with it. I mentioned struggling with names, but in general, I think it's also a, just a sexism, misogyny, to where it's just, and even the way that I had to look up her name was what? John Trudell's wife, right? This was their own person. This is their own individual. This is, somebody with their own politics, their own contribution to struggle, and that should be recognized. And I'm going to do better and always striving to be better in this department. And it's Tina Manning. Is it Tina Manning, born January 18th, 1950, and was murdered by the FBI, the state, in February 12th, 1979, was a Ponte Shoshone, a water rights activist and wife of John Trudell. Manning was the daughter of Arthur and Leah Hicks Manning. Her father had served as a tribal chairman of the Shoshone Pauit tribes of the Duck Valley Indian Reservation in northern Nevada. She graduated from Bacone College in Muskogee, Oklahoma. On February 12, 1979, Manning died along with her unborn baby, Josiah Hawk, 3 other children, Richard Starr, Sunshine Karma, and Ellie Changing's son, and her mother in a house fire in the Duck Valley Reservation. Her father was the only survivor. I didn't know that part. Fuck, I didn't know that part. I did not know that part. Man. Poor man. Poor fucking. Can you imagine just being Shoshone? Thank you. Y'all know that I butcher Shoshone, right? Yes. Okay. Then I have heard it being pronounced before. I should reread that then. Tina Manning, January 18th, 1950. And she was murdered by the state in February 12th, 1979. Was a Ponte Shoshone, water rights activist and wife of John Trudell. Manning was the daughter of Arthur and Leah Hicks Manning. Her father has served as the tribal chairman of the Shoshone Pauit tribes of the Duck Valley Indian Reservation in northern Nevada. She graduated from Bacone College in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Her father was the lone survivor. The cause of the fire was never determined, but it was considered suspicious and deemed probable arson by John Trudell and others, as it took place the day after Trudell led a protest against the FBI in Washington, D.C. I mean, man. I think, if I'm not mistaken with my timeline, Uti. Thank you. If I'm not mistaken with my timeline, John Trudell retired from politics after this, from organizing, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I could be misremembering that. But when a man is anyone really, when so much of his life is taken from him, can you blame him? Can you pass judgment on him for saying fuck all this? Paiute? Thank you, chat. Y'all are always so fucking helpful when it comes to, my inability to spoke correctly. Yeah, and that phrasing's a little difficult, but I think the trauma for sure profoundly affected him, and who wouldn't? I mean, he said it himself, like, sometimes it pays to be paranoid because of, like, when you lose this much, when so much is taken from you. how do you sleep at night again? How do you rest your head comfortably again? You can't. I knew that she was pregnant when she died, when she was murdered by the state. I didn't recall exactly how many other children were murdered by the state as well. But that is just how you survive that is beyond me. And the fact that he devoted, the rest of his life to writing poetry and stuff. And I don't, there's a reason why he affected my life so profoundly. And there's a reason why I chose to like end every stream with his poem. And in so many ways, he did save my life from going down a road that is very reactionary in the Chicano sense, but nonetheless reactionary. And that's why I don't fuck around with this whole Chicano nationalism and Naslan, is because how dare you disrespect the indigenous people of the region who have been doing the work and have gone through exterminations and genocides and relocations, and who have sacrificed so much for what? For you to play fucking revolutionary? Call me what you want, but we're not fucking allies. Hey, I mean, look, I'm gonna make fucking mistakes, but I'm always gonna try to correct them when I can. Siempre. That's all you can do. I don't know. I mean, if we want to break shit down easily and in a very like not to be gendered and sexist, but like my understanding, the way that I came up was like that's what a man does. Acknowledges his mistakes and corrects them and does his fucking damn hardest to not repeat them. It's that fucking simple. It's that fucking simple. I don't understand, and I don't like fucking people that don't understand something that fucking simple. Vic, thank you so much. I know me and Vic bumped heads a little bit over the Little Bill thing. But I hope I kind of explained myself. I know sometimes we use certain words or phrases that might not translate, our sentiment might not translate, so I appreciate you commenting. Oh no, yeah, no, I understand that it shouldn't be gendered in any way at all. It's just, again, like I'm saying, like the way that I came up, a lot of that stuff was very gendered, the way that it was taught to me. And so for me it was like, ponte los pantalones. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you think you're fucking wearing the pants around here? Here are the fucking prerequisites if you want to act like a little man. And I've always been a fucking loudmouth that, spoke without, thinking. Okay, let's log back in here. Where is that from? Be a man, you must be swift as a coursing river. I've never heard of that before. And it reminded me of that Nacho Libre joke that I always miss as a kid. But when he jumps on Esqueleto, when he captures him the first time, he plants the chips, right? And then he's like, I have a dream, but first, I need a man. Mulan, that's fucking hilarious. This dude never watched Mulan. I seen it. It's just, honestly, Mulan is not one of my, like, I don't even think, maybe top 10 Disney movies. But I'm not a anti-Mongolian like the rest of you, so I can't really watch it. No, just kidding. Look, it's funny because like I've seen the obvious and very correct criticisms of the portrayal of the Mongolians. It just sucks when like they just made him look so fucking badass, bro. Like I understand it's like a villainous depiction and just you know, all that. Yes, 100%. But I mean, I thought they were dope as fuck, you know. I do have a little more judgment on men's behavior on things, because it's like, if you have that extra physical strength, what do you use it for, yourself or others? There's toxicity there, but is there truth? Question mark. Like I said, bro, bad empanada, George, as a grown ass man, bro, somebody put hands on your family and you're finally old enough to fucking correct that shit. You know, it's funny because I try not to hype myself too much about this. I don't want to hype myself up too much, but I'm a pretty good judge of character. And it makes sense that the person that I thought that George Bad Empanada is would be somebody that would hide from somebody that put hands on their family. Makes total fucking sense to me. But I'm an asshole for bringing that shit up. I'm an asshole for fucking calling that shit out. When he said that we should not be kind to people who advocate for genocide and defend it and excuse it, and he was calling for it against the Inuit people of Greenland. I oppose all colonization, and I'm with all colonized people, not just whatever's gonna get me fucking clicks. The Iron Giant is fucking badass for sure. I haven't watched it in quite some time. My number one Disney movie of that era, though, for sure, The Lion King, man. For sure. I think, what's his name as Scar? What's that dude that played Scar? He also came out as a... What's his name? Jeremy Irons. Amazing fucking actor in general. Just fucking lethal on screen. Any character that he plays is just fucking on point. Great Alfred. I was looking for something specific and I completely blanked out on what it was. But yeah, his portrayal of Scar is top tier shit. Oh, for sure. Yeah, DreamWorks is always on another level. And the fact that Toy Story 5 is coming out or 4, I don't fucking know. It's just fucking, man, like, ruin everything. Andreas Deja created Scar. What do you mean by created Scar? All right, let's focus in. Let's focus in. Hercules was a great one for sure. For Palestinians, the whole world is occupied by Zionists. From a culture of white supremacy to the protection of U.S. empire, Palestinians in exile are regularly confronted by the violence of Zionism. By Lara Kilani. This is from April 15, 2026. Just, man. World Youth to Berlin. I can't read that here. 10th Festival, support Arabs' liberation movement against imperialism and Zionism. That's nice, man. That's a 1973 poster for the 10th Berlin Youth Festival. It's available at Palestine Poster Project. I'll drop this in the link because that sounds badass. All right. Palestinians who grew up in exile in the West learn quickly that the world is occupied by Zionists. These Zionists are both people who reestablish Zionist thought and principles with their actions, intentionally or otherwise, as well as those personally committed to Zionism as a concept. But the first group is much more significant. You know, I can't make it a fucking stream without calling Sam Cedar fucking Zionist. And this is why. You want to call it obsessed, clout chasing, I don't know what the fuck, I don't care. This is why people like him, those type of Zionists, need to be called out. The John Stewarts, the Peter Beinarts. The reason for this is simple. Zionism is a normative position in the West, underpinned by Israel's role in the capitalist imperialist world system and entrenched and protected by shared white supremacist roots. I am not out here just spewing my own nonsense. Well, partially when we're not talking about politics and when we're not talking about important stuff, for sure. But I'm not trying to speak over on behalf of, I'm not trying to impose my opinions and my positions on Palestinians or the Palestinian movement. I am simply trying to communicate what I've learned from Palestinians, both personally and with engaging with their works, to the best of my fucking ability. And the fact that you have colonizer white opportunists trying to misinterpret what I do and what I represent and what I try to push forward is honestly really frustrating, unsurprising, because what else would an opportunist do when I'm calling them out? They have no other option but to misrepresent me. That's literally the only option available to that fucking incel. And so when it's laid out like this, so plain, and just as a matter of fact, it's like, yes, this is the reason why this is my position. The reason for this is simple. Zionism is a normative position in the West, underpinned by Israel's role in capitalist imperialist world system and entrenched and protected by shared white supremacist roots. Because of this, and because our existence is fundamentally problematic to the project of Zionism, Palestinians living in exile in the West are routinely confronted with a seemingly accepted regime. Furthermore, those committed to the maintenance of this reality use their power to punish those who challenge the status quo. Palestine is not present in Western media and educational channels. U.S. news outlets do not generally discuss Palestine in any meaningful sense, and commentators who even question the validity of Zionism are expelled and banished from mainstream media. Do I think that the examples that FD gave in that response video were sufficient? Absolutely not. Did he have a conversation with Mark Lamont Hill, who literally lost his job before any of these YouTubers were fucking trying to be opportunists and profit off of genocide? Yeah, he lost his job because he was principled in his support for Palestine. And because he had a presence in mainstream media, they had to punish him for that. They had to banish him. In my experience, our U.S. public school education never mentioned Palestine except in reference to Israel. This all means that the ubiquity of Zionism in the West is apparent in so many interactions. From young age, and as a Palestinian, I understood that if I wanted someone to know me as a person and appreciate my family, I would have to teach them world history. they had never heard before and wouldn't find anywhere else. Mind you, I just realized why it's so fucking bright in here. That shit was killing my fucking eyes. I was like, why do I look so white? Mind you, I didn't really... oh, you know what? There was a movie called Munich. I was really into fucking spy thrillers and shit. Never to James Bond. The accent, you know, just not for me. But like The Bourne Identity. What else? The Mission Impossible movies. Yeah, for sure. In Munich is one of the most blatant. I mean, it's probably been decades at this point since I've seen it. One of the most blatant like Zionist propaganda films I've ever seen. Anywho, where are we? Oh yeah, I say that I think that was the first time that I even knew about like Palestine or Israel and the Zionist entity was through that movie Munich. I just didn't, bro. Like, I'm a brown fucking kid in a brown fucking neighborhood. We're not talking about Palestine. We're not talking about the Zionist entity. I was a horrible fucking Catholic to this day. So none of that was part of my upbringing in any way. Okay, where are we? By college, I had carried out this process of re-education so many times. I joked about making a PowerPoint. I mean, man, I'm not trying to laugh at this, but literally, as I mentioned before, community college. And will forever, you know, appreciate him, not just for that, but like for just helping me out in so many ways. He would always dedicate one of his classes to talking about Palestine with a literal PowerPoint. And I took a lot of his classes. In fact, this fool would ask at the beginning of the semester, how many of you have had me before? And the hands would go up. And I would roll my eyes and raise my hand, and he would laugh because I'm like, because, you know, at that point we had already known each other so well that I could like fucking make fun of how this fool's ego is taller than him because that was short. So, but yeah, that's how great of a professor he was. That's how great of just a mentor, and how his teaching style is so accessible. And but anywho, every one of his courses he would dedicate one day to talking about Palestine, and he even back then he would have a lot of pushback, and there was a lot of pressure against him. So yeah, the PowerPoint thing is fucking real. I'm glad somebody understands. Like, I love that fucking shit, bro. To this day, because it's kind of like right message, kind of like, I don't know how serious to take the messenger, unfortunately, because not about that subject, but just, yeah, just Wilder is a very unique individual. And I think it's unfortunate that, how can't sidetrack me with this shit? Because I was gonna say, it sucks when somebody has such great power, and because it really is a crutch. It really is a crutch being that deadly, having that fucking touch of death, because your footwork, your endurance, your defense is gonna lack so much, and your confidence, overconfidence sometimes, that if all I gotta do is touch you once and you're out. Thankfully, I've never really had that type of power, you know what I mean? But I've hurt people, but never. There's some individuals, regardless of their weight class, who just, their way that their body operates and moves, their movement, it's just, and I know there's been studies of people just having their bones being more dense, things like that. Not in the eugenics way, but like legit, like, hey, X fighter is known for this. Let's run some fucking research on them. So anywho, All right, moving forward. Oh, can you imagine Wilder if like he went in the traditional boxing route of just being like what, like fucking 5 years old, 10 years old? Yeah, but I do think that a big part of that too that we're not talking about when it comes to being raised in the boxing world, right? It's not just the technique aspect of it, but I think a lot of it too is the mentality of it all. Is something that is already difficult for lifelong boxers once they become successful to maintain that knowledge and discipline that growing up in boxing has taught them, but more so if you didn't grow up in it. Like, I think just that's why sometimes when he talks, it's so delusional. That can only come from somebody who didn't grow up doing it, I guess. Oh, by the way, somebody mentioned Heavy Hands. Great fucking podcast, Juan. If you want like a cool kind of laid back MMA podcast, Heavy Hands is the way to go. And if you want to follow them on Twitter, it's Hey Not the Face, I believe. Or Boxing Bush. I can't remember which was their Twitter handle. But great fucking analysis. I used to, man, we'll get back on track, but I used to listen to so much technical breakdown of MMA, especially when I was younger. And it's so fucking cool because it's so young as a sport and developing that so many things change. I mean, Ben Henderson was the only one really throwing like calf kicks, kind of. It was weird. He was doing like heel calf kicks. So just weird stuff like that you just saw the game develop and pick up over the years, and now calf kicks are like supreme right now. Anywho. Okay. I blame the coffee too. I had to get a little cafecito. I joked about making a PowerPoint. It wasn't just that my peers didn't know about Palestine or its history. Growing up, mostly in the post 9/11 period, they have been taught to normalize the mass destruction of entire communities across the Middle East and North Africa. A friend's father once told me in response to my thoughts and feelings about Palestine, quote, "And this is how the world works. People are conquered all the time." Bro, ooh, fucking shit. The amount of times I would hear that shit. Right? Because especially when I was, younger, I let you know what my politics were. But you would hear that all the time, specifically from white people. And online it's still prevalent. But it's just, that's the way the world works. You have strong people, you have weak people, and the strong people take over the weak people. And it's all done to normalize their barbarity. There's countless of civilizations that, at least the way they interacted with external communities, were peaceful. Does that mean that they had a utopia? Of course not. They had internal conflict for sure, but the way that they operated was completely different from the barbaric way that the Europeans, these fucking cave-dwelling Neanderthals, introduced to the world. Mind you, earlier I was over here defending Genghis Khan. No, just kidding. I was not defending Genghis Khan. What murders? All right. To be understood and challenge your own dehumanization, you're always making a case. You learn to study people closely and quickly to analyze situations, to read between the lines. That double consciousness that colonized people are forced to incorporate for fucking safety, for our own survival. Are you safe to be around with? That's the question. And the thing is to never let down your guard. Because I've been in those situations where you've known somebody for quite some time, everything's good, everything's cool, and then bam, they hit you with it. Most of the time it's anti-blackness, right? But quite frankly, if it is anti-blackness, it's pretty apparent early on. But there's always, always got to be careful, always got to watch out. Many of us have grown up with this experience. If your fellow student is wearing a Jewish star, proceed with caution. You could certainly become friends, but you will have to teach them you are human once they know you're Palestinian, and undoubtedly their parents will like you less once they learn your family history, though they likely won't say it to your face. Whoa. Isn't that prejudice? Isn't that bigoted to see a Jewish star on somebody and immediately assume that they're going to dislike you, immediately assume that their parents are going to like you? Isn't that bigoted? Isn't that reverse racism? Isn't that anti-Semitism? No, it is our rational attempt to be safe. The fact that colonized people are even willing to speak to their colonizers and those that support their colonization is already asking too much of them. Is already asking too much. But it's their fucking world. The colonizers one. Relax, the colonizers.
You say we. Who are you referring to when you're talking about Sam, huh?
Well, I don't Settlers, Europeans. Hold on.
You're talking about white people or are you talking about Jewish people?
No.
I mean, the fact that she says, are you talking about white people or Jewish people? The wasp is strong in this one. But this aspect right here, the way that Jewish families, the Jewish community in general is portrayed as liberal, I think this is like the main thing. Though they likely won't say it to your face. They are liberal. And they know how to hide their racism, their bigotry. If your teacher argues in history class that the TSA should be able to strip search anyone anytime because it protects us all, she definitely thinks you're a terrorist, but might also believe there's a chance you can be reformed. And if you debate this point too vehemently, I always struggle with that. Vehemently, no, I'm saying it wrong. There's something here that's tripping me up. That always trips me up. Vehemently, is that what it is?
Vehemently.
That's what it was. Yeah, it's one of those. Don't pronounce this fucking letter that we're gonna include in there. English. Yeah. And if you debate this point too vehemently, okay. And if you debate this point too vehemently, it might tip her opinion one way and affect your grade. You still should. You still should. That is a fucking constant sacrifice that is expected. And this is why I'm not sympathetic to fucking white people when they decide to be allies and then immediately start crying about, I got banned from the UK. I got banned from the UK. Can you believe it? Yes. Because those of us that don't get to pretend to fucking be white, that don't have that that white privilege shit, we've been dealing with the consequences of being principled. And you motherfuckers aren't even principled and still crying about the consequences when you try to walk that shit back. Other Muslims, especially those from immigrant families, usually get it. And you could be friends. No PowerPoint necessary. They've already heard about the colonization from their family history and likely know about Palestine as well. But it is not just personal interactions that are But it is not just personal interactions that are inundated. I rushed that. Sorry. But it is not just personal interactions that are inundated with the normalization of Zionism and white supremacy, both inherently antagonistic to Palestinian existence. It is also every interaction with Western bureaucracy. One time, my family was crossing the border from Canada into the United States by car. The border officer asked my father where he was from. My father replied, Palestine. I cringe in the back seat. That one almost got me. Sometimes, especially when you're first generation, we're kind of like, even the word cringe, I'm not insinuating that she was angry at her father for that. We're kind of like, can we just please, can we just play along and move past this moment for our own safety, for our own well-being? We know how it's going to escalate things. We're not escalating them. Our parents aren't escalating them, but we know that it's going to trigger these fucking colonizers. We know it will. cruzando la frontera, right? Like waiting in line and all this shit like that for fucking hours. I'm privileged to be able to do that. The harassment that you face by Border Patrol, they could be white and brown, they don't give a fuck. Because, oh, are you really American? Are you really allowed to be here? Literally having to be detained or family members detained at the border and separated and having to worry. Having to worry and pull up to the fucking, depending on the time, maybe the closest fucking McDonald's that's open 24 hours, quién sabe, right? And waiting and just being in fear and concern for your loved ones. And if you went in separate cars and the kids were not all in the same vehicle, whatnot, then you're worried about the younger family members, all these things that go through your mind, even having the privilege of being a United States citizen. You're still having to go through shit like this. Oh yeah, you have family members that have their papeles, but they're still gonna give them a hard time because they think they can. But yeah. The border officer asked my father where he was from. My father replied, Palestine. I cringe in the backseat. That response is not on the list of pre-approved answers to get you through the border quickly and painlessly. It is a trigger word for the further interrogation and even detention. Even I knew that at 9 years old. How many times have we talked about the fact that we have these young kids? I had to laugh in order not to fucking cry. These kids. How did I reach these kids? I need that drop. How many times have we talked about these kids having to have this perception of a world of an adult for their own safety and well-being of themselves and their family members? At 9 years old, already knowing that's not what you tell these people. At 9 years old, already knowing that's not what you tell these people. Immediately, there were many more questions, spoken quickly to prevent the respondent from thinking too much. Why does your passport say you were born in another country then? Where did you grow up? Why do you have a U.S. passport? When did you come here? Why? The interrogation ended abruptly and with a joke. The officer knew the phrase goodbye in Arabic and said it with a smile, but only after we had been thoroughly questioned. My dad, who at this point in his life had been harassed more times at many more airports and borders than I likely How many of us can say that about our How many of us can say that about our elders? You know, one of the reasons why I fucking despise the whole no sabo thing? I think it's funny when they use it against me because I've used it to my advantage in the past. But one of the reasons is because I know and I've seen and I've heard the harassment that these older people face when they come here. Illegal or illegal. Illegal or illegal, right? The harassment that they face for speaking Spanish, and I've grown up in Southern California my whole fucking life, and I've still seen it. I know about fucking race brawls. Little fucking mini race wars that would occur on campuses in the fucking 90s over here. So I understand the pressure of parents who come to this country and say, I don't want my child to face the same racial harassment that I faced, so I'm not going to teach him in Spanish. I'm not going to teach him Spanish. And the separation that creates between you and your child. The inability of a child to be able to communicate to their parent freely. And see, that's not talked about, that's joked about, and that's overlooked. At some point, I'll make a video on the no sabo thing. And to be honest, I don't really want to focus on shit like that, but it's almost necessary. When you have white people out here using it so freely without understanding the trauma around it, the racial and white supremacist reasons behind it. And this is the reason why homie's gonna get he's gonna get what he deserves. I promise y'all that. Because you're over here representing or trying to speak for or on behalf of. And yet I see that if my brown ass can bring out that true racism out from you, and you think that it's okay to get a pass because you conned your way into making your supporters believe that you're not just a fucking typical white colonizer, that's on them. But see, I've been around people like him. And they fucking hate me because they see through the fucking bullshit, right? And this thing where like we have to recognize that whatever resentment or anger or righteous criticism of those who raised us, that when they got here, it was so much fucking worse. That when they got here was so much fucking worse. And so if you're wondering, well, why don't they teach their kids? Imagine what they had to go through to say, it's better I don't understand my own fucking child than for them to go through what I went through. I've seen it. I've seen it. It's more evident with like the grandparents that you see it. I feel very privileged. And although of course my Spanish needs work, my English needs work, y'all. What the fuck? I've seen that dynamic time and time again, and that shit's fucking heartbreaking. And because of the mockery, we have a lot of people that abandon it completely or attempt to regain it. It's just completely gone. And it's unfortunate. And that's not even our fucking, let's not get into the fact that it's still, Spanish is still this colonizer language imposed upon us, but yes, sabes. Yes, sabes. I used to talk to a dude like that. His people were Salvadorian. He was saying his father has so much trouble with the Spanish as his first language, he didn't want his kids to go through it. It's just protecting. It's just protecting your fucking kids from racism. Shit's hilarious though. Just imagine the shit they went through, There's a reason why our elders are fucked up, bro. Because they grew up around some fucked up times. My dad, who at this point in his life had been harassed more times at many more airports and borders than I likely ever will, was just being honest. But honesty is yeah, man. Fuck. But honesty is dangerous for Palestinians, particularly when your erasure is normalized and you cannot guess whether the border bureaucrat questioning you may exercise their prerogative to disrupt your entire day on the basis of your identity alone. We had already been held up and searched on the way out. Even crossing the border of a country we were residing in was a reminder that our national identity is often seen as provocation to those in position of authority. That border officer almost certainly did not consider himself a Zionist, but in being part of a colonial border regime which treats Palestine as a trigger word, as something suspicious requiring explanation, demanding justification, he was enforcing the same logics and power systems that entrench Zionism. That Palestinian identity at best is inherently provisional, something to be interrogated rather than simply acknowledged, or at worst, something to be eliminated. These are the minute personal indignities. Excuse me. These are the minute personal indignities. It should go without saying that they do not compare to the experience of Palestinians subjugated to genocide, home demolition, settler raids, forced displacement, mass imprisonment, torture, and slaughter. But understanding that for Palestinians and those aligned with us, Zionists control our world, helps to explain the global situation of Palestine, Palestinians, and Palestine solidarity activism. The small instances of normalized dehumanization connect directly to the normalization of continuous colonial and imperial violence in our lands and support for genocide. Sorry, I completely forgot to check on this. I forgot what time we put for that to drop. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. Oh, that's weird. What the fuck? Why is that the case? Hold on, y'all. It's a good thing I double checked this here. That is weird. Should not be happening. Why is it? Yeah, today's the 10th, right? Yeah, today's the 10th. Hold on, y'all. Can y'all see? This video is currently private and is scheduled to become public on. Why is it private though? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Sorry, y'all. It's weird. Sorry, y'all. That's fucking weird. I don't know why I did that. YouTube's always changing some things in the background, which yeah, see, still not. That's so fucking annoying. I don't know why it's doing that. A public watch page will be created. It'll show a countdown to this date. Whatever. Who gives a fuck? Sorry, y'all. We have like a little bit of time. I don't know. We're gonna finish this. This article here, only because it's a kind of a mission, or we can come back to it. And I don't want to speed read this either because it's pretty fucking great. We also have the Grand Planner bullshit to go over and the Mamdani shit. So let's We'll come back to this. Now we'll read through this here. Just a sec. There's one more section. Zionist occupation of Palestinian life. Zionist occupation of Palestinian life and that of our associates. A few weeks ago, while scrolling on social media, I came across a video from Morgan Cooper, a U.S. citizen who lives in the West Bank with her Palestinian husband and their children. She had left the country recently and traveled with her children, in part for a holiday and in part to be able to reach a U.S. embassy in order to renew her family's passport. She described in the video how, despite her and her children all being U.S. citizens, they are functionally prevented from accessing any consular services in Palestine by Israel's checkpoint and permit system. It was easier to access her own country's embassy from outside of Palestine in another continent entirely. She cannot access basic services that she is entitled to as a U.S. citizen because Israel prevents her from reaching Jerusalem. Nah, bro, but she's American. Bro, but she's American, bro. I've been told by Australians that that's all there is to it. Yeah. People understand that Zionists control much of life in Palestine. They see or have expressed for themselves the hours-long waits at randomly closed checkpoints, invasions into communities, and the state violence that comes with it. The sudden abductions of Palestinians into Zionist prisons and the impunity of Zionist settlers and state forces, arbitrary, state forces, arbitrary, constant murders of Palestinians. But when I saw Morgan Cooper's video, it reminded me of how Zionism affects Palestinians everywhere, and often anyone associated with us, across borders, even beyond the obvious almost 80-year-long period of forced exile, ongoing refugeehood, genocide, and continuous colonization and destruction. Cooper's experience brought to mind a story I had told only a few days before seeing her video. Someone close to me, a Palestinian in exile with a strong Western passport, had applied for a European visa. As part of the process, they were subjected to a background check. This background check uncovered a Canary mission profile about them, making, as is the website's modus operandi, unverifiable claims of anti-Semitism. Their application was immediately denied. They were explicitly informed that this was the reason. And I think they tell you the fucking reason. They tell you the fucking reason to spread this, right? And I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong by acknowledging it, but they want you to know, and they want the world to know that, yeah, this is the type of influence that Zionism has. They definitely want Palestinians to know. When I heard this story, I knew its ending as soon as I heard the phrase background check and the exasperation in the speaker's voice. Everywhere Palestinians and their allies exist, the Zionists are intervening in order to make their lives harder, especially if they are vocal about their beliefs in the liberated Palestine. Whether we are living in Palestine or outside of it, Zionists and their organizations, institutions, spokespeople, and professional mudslingers are desperately trying to punish us out of speaking up and taking action in solidarity with Palestinians. The visa officer who denied that application may have harbored no personal animosity toward Palestinians. More than likely, they may see themselves as simply doing their job. But fixation on individual intent over material impact is precisely what makes the system so difficult to name. When the effect of the bureaucratic decision is to deny a Palestinian access, mobility, and residency on the basis of their political identity and the rejection of their erasure, the person carrying it out has functioned as an enforcer of Zionism, focusing on whether the individual meant harm rather than on the harm produced, obscures the structure, and ensures it reproduces itself unchallenged. Happily, CARE Chicago has launched the start of a class action lawsuit against a collection of Zionist organizations dedicated to dedicated to doxing, harassment, and threats against those who express solidarity with Palestinians or a rejection of Zionism. Included among CARE's plaintiffs are Palestinians, Arab, Muslim, and Jewish Americans who have faced harassment, threats, and worse for the attacks leveled against them by Canary Mission, Stop Anti-Semitism, and others. I will say this though, I can probably guess why they're including Jewish Americans in this. I'm just fucking tired of it. I mean, who the fuck am I to be tired of it, right? And I'm sure they've done great fucking work, more work than I have in supporting Palestinian causes. But again, always needing them to be around or to co-sign or to demonstrate that, oh, this isn't an anti-Semitic movement is, I mean, if for me it's exhausting, I can't imagine what it is for Palestinians. Because that sounds fucking unbearable. One of the plaintiffs, Layla Ali, is described in the complaint as having been doxxed and harassed by Stop Anti-Semitism on Twitter and other social media platforms repeatedly, including a call for her deportation and termination from her job. Ali was eventually terminated from her position, with her former employer publicly confirming that the action was taken in response to Stop Anti-Semitism's attacks. Targeting anti-Zionists, especially vocal ones, is not a new phenomenon, either in Palestine or outside of it. But over the last few years, as we have been inundated with the discourse about the allegedly omnipresent, ever strengthening scourge. This discourse about allegedly omnipresent, ever strengthening scourge of anti-Semitism, alongside the reality that more folks in the global north seem to be observing Israel's genocidal violence with new eyes and growing disgust. These smear campaigns, intimidation tactics, and coordinated violence have brought new favor to an old conspiracy theory. More and more U.S. Americans yell Zog as they observe many other governments' decisions, and SNL cast members feel emboldened to attempt jokes that the imperial power is being ruled by the premier of its favorite colony. The truth that we are living in a world occupied by Zionists is not new or a secret conspiracy. We are. But underpinning these statements is a false assumption that the Zionists occupying positions of power are primarily Jewish, or that they are even Zionists first and foremost, rather than dedicated capitalist, imperialists, and white supremacists. It's almost as if all I'm trying to do is express and communicate what Palestinians have been expressing and communicating for fucking ever. Almost. It's almost as if that's all I'm fucking trying to do, instead of centering myself and saying, no, this is the fucking strategy and the direction that we should head on because I'm a fucking narcissist and because I want attention and money. It's almost as if I'm trying to be nuanced so that I'm not misrepresenting things, because it's not going to directly affect me. It's affecting Palestinians. I hate these fucking white opportunists for so many goddamn reasons. In reality, Zionists exist in all shapes and sizes. Trump is a Zionist, but to suggest that he is dedicated to this or any vision of Jewish statehood is ridiculous, when the evidence clearly indicates that he is driven by his own financial interests. These interests are inherently tied to the position that sustains the U.S. empire. The same could be said of most U.S. politicians, whether they are personally making money off of military-industrial investments or simply value Israel's role in maintaining U.S. maintaining U.S. imperial interests in the broader region. Likewise, the proof that much of the world is governed and shaped by Zionists is everywhere, perhaps illustrated most clearly through the experience of Palestinians whose lives are disrupted by Zionism wherever they are. The plainest example of this reality is the ongoing genocide in Gaza and the treatment of those in solidarity with the targets of this genocide. Do we have? Because I'm also questioning whether or not we should just read this, and I just changed the fucking title of the stream. And we just cover that tomorrow. What do y'all think? Where are we at, chat? Do we just lock in and read this all the way through? Or do we stop there and then cover some of the other stuff in the last like 30 minutes that we have? I gotta know, chat. I'll be more than happy to retitle this stream. All right. Nobody's responding, so we're moving on. No, just kidding. Let's see. I don't know why y'all stick around during me reading, but I appreciate it. Lock in on this. Solid. All right. We're retitling this to the Little Bill is a Zionist pre-watch party. In fact, I'll do that shit right now. Homie. Hold on. I'll retitle this shit right now, and then we'll continue reading. Live. Let's see. Little Bill pre-watch party. There. Now I'm not a liar. All right. Awesome. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this article here. Are we in the right place? Yes, I think we are. Maybe? No, we're not. Yes, we are. Complicity in genocide. Most know about the extent of U.S. complicity in this genocide, but from October 2023, I say 2020, governments across Europe fell in line, not only failing to obstruct genocide, but actively participating in it. AJ, thank you for the gift. Appreciate y'all. Super chat, super stickers, memberships are turned on if you all want to help support. Check out the Cash App if you want to avoid all the nonsense. And join the Patreon. $2 gets you access to the Discord and all that goodness. All right. Appreciate the support, y'all. Most know about the extent of U.S. complicity in this genocide. But from October 2023, governments across Europe fell in line, not only failing to obstruct genocide, but actively participating in it. Between October 2023 and May 2025, EU member states collectively sent 53 million euros worth of weapons in public funds under their Israeli trade agreement. They also continue to renew EU security research funding grants for Israel, the single non-European state which most benefits from this funding, as the Zionist entity maintained a total siege on Gaza and murdered hundreds of people a day on average. I mean, just from fucking trade agreements like this, funding like this, to participating in Eurovision, it's just, they're fucking Europeans. And of course, they're using black and brown, African and Arab Jews, because there's not enough European Jews. Definitely not enough that are willing to commit, living out there. They'll support and benefit from it abroad where it's safer. That in no way excuses, forgives, or diminishes the role of non-white Jews. But it's a Western fucking, European white supremacist project. Nonetheless, Jewish supremacists. Okay. Sorry, I got caught up in the chat a little bit. The United Kingdom has also sent a record number of arms to Israel in 2025 and participated in surveillance and intelligence sharing as they flew planes over Gaza from Cyprus. There was a tracker, a UK plane tracker, and it was just the amount of times was just fucking abhorrent. The UK government imprisoned Palestine action activists for prolonged periods, endangered their health and safety, and proscribed their organization as a terrorist group, despite the ongoing massive public outcry and now a high court decision which has ruled this proscription unlawful. 6 of the recently acquitted, Filton 24, now face retrial with a potential that they will be sentenced as terrorists. Information that will be hidden from the jury. They will also be prevented from telling the jury how their actions were part of an effort to disrupt the Israeli genocide in Gaza. The judges making these decisions are prosecutors requesting them. The judges making these decisions, the prosecutors requesting them, and the government and counter-terror officers informing the requests are all among the Zionist actors in influencing these activities. In influencing these activists' lives. It's a fucking organized, it's a kangaroo court, so of course they're all in it. It is not just governments that are complicit either. U.S. universities have cast aside any remnants of their association with open-mindedness or freedom of speech to ensure that students involved in Palestine solidarity organizing have been hunted down, beaten, arrested, and deported. In some cases, they have paid out settlements to Jewish students and faculty members who have their rights to advocate for genocide be questioned by their peers. Universities, including UC Berkeley, have handed over lists of their students and faculty to the U.S. government to be investigated for alleged incidents of anti-Semitism. Those of us who still had any remnant of faith in the U.S. academic system after public ousting of Sami al-Iran or Stephen Saleta currently should not have any more illusion at this point that we have seen the similar treatment applied to non-Palestinian scholars as well. Mario Finkelstein, Jairo Funes Flores, Pyron Kao, San Hikil, Idris Robinson, Catherine Frank, and now Ira Fani and Shireen Saidi, among others. These are all decisions that have directly altered lives of many, many people. Now remember, this is criticism, this towards the U.S., academic system. Norm Finkelstein pretends to criticize this as well, but the moment that there's, decolonial studies, the moments that there's, anti or de-Zionizing the Jewish mind, the moment any of that stuff, right? If you're going to take an approach of like, hey, let's educate people on colonization. Hey, let's advocate for decolonization. Hey, of these Euro-American Jews, or just Euro Jews, and we're not going to fucking, if they need to be reintroduced to society as civilized individuals, then we need to re-educate them. Norman Finkelstein scoffs at that. Now, if he's offering the other fucking solution, we could have that conversation off stream. But he isn't. Of course he fucking isn't. He said it himself. He is not an enemy of Israel. Norman Finkelstein, right? I just hate the way that he's promoted as the prime fucking voice for Palestinians. Somebody so humble, The message is clear. Zionism is hegemonic in Western politics, culture, education, and beyond. Any challenge will be met with the full force of law, extra-legal violence, and the construction of new laws to heighten pressure against dissent. But the issue here is not Zog. There is not an all-powerful Jewish individual or cabal enforcing Zionism at the highest level of all these institutions, nor is the actual leadership or low-level administration and bureaucrats deeply committed to a project of so-called Jewish self-determination in Palestine. As analysis by JSC members has already shown with institutions like Human Rights Watch, those in positions of power and authority at every level in Western society are deeply committed to the status quo and personally benefit from violence and warfare. It is not that they are fervent Zionists or paid off by fervent Zionists, or blackmailed by them. It is that they are, It is that they are benefiting personally, institutionally, from the reality that includes Zionism and is supported by its continuation. It is not Zionism that is foregrounded or most important. It is not Zionism that is foregrounded or most important. Rather, protecting Zionism is part of maintaining a geopolitical reality that protects colonial and imperial plunder throughout the region and the global south in general. When we say, for Palestinians and those in solidarity, when we say Palestinians and those in solidarity with them, Zionists occupy the world, this includes people who carry out the actions described about on the most micro levels, administrators who fire professors, expel students because of their support for Palestine, colleagues who look away and pretend not to notice to protect their own careers, the students who engage in surveillance, file complaints, and gather thousands of signatures to punish their anti-Zionist professors. Staffers working in the office of politicians who support genocide or make empty statements while remaining complicit. Office managers who fire their workers for being doxxed by the likes of Canary Mission and Stop Anti-Semitism. NGO workers who collect checks knowing that they're pushing campaigns that water down anti-Zionist demands while claiming to represent Palestinian interests first and foremost. Prosecutors building case against Palestine solidarity activists who have organized to materially disrupt genocide. ICE officers who have abducted activists and held them in prison for extended periods or deported them. Adults who tell young Palestinians that they should accept the laws of their homeland and massacre of their people, because that's just how the world works. All of these actors, the majority of whom are not Jewish and are likely not committed to Zionism on a personal level, operate in a way that makes them into the Zionists, altering and controlling the world for Palestinians and those associated with us, entirely independent of the Israeli state, its government, the Mossad, Sheldon Adelson's ghost, or any such entity. These individuals attempt to assert Zionism in the personal lives of those who speak out against it, against genocide, and for the liberation and decolonization. In that way, we routinely find that our lives are disrupted by Zionists, or that we should expect at any time that they might intervene in our lives. I think the one criticism that I would have for this article, although I understand why they went about it this way, is that whenever you include allies into your oppression, I think it grants them a little too much credit and leeway. While I understand that there are non-Palestinian activists and, individuals who have faced the same type of harassment by these Zionist organizations, they're signing up for it. They're choosing to be an ally. And too often, those allies that are half in and half out will use those incidents of non-Palestinians facing this type of oppression to excuse their actions and to give them permission to speak louder than they should and to censor themselves more when they shouldn't be censored at all. So that's my only critique. I'm always hyper critical of anyone or any moments where people outside of the community are brought in and treated like they're facing the same level of oppression. Again, I do this with me, right? How many times haven't you heard me say, hey, when I talk about policing and gatekeeping in the Black community in terms of allowing brown people in, I include myself in it. I'm going to make mistakes. And I should be called out in it. And I should face consequences for them, right? So this isn't just me saying like, fuck all these white people or don't include Jewish people in this or don't include allies. I understand why they're doing it. My thing is there's too many of them that are half-assed. We're going to use this as a reason why they should be treated as, oppressed or paint themselves as one of the primary victims. But again, that's just me nitpicking. I understand why they did it because they do actually face oppression, but there's too many individuals who do not face that oppression, who are not Palestinians, who just flap their gums and are going to use this as an excuse to act like they're the main fucking victims. a culture of white supremacy. No small part of these actions is enforced. No small part of these actions is informed by an ingrained culture of white supremacy. Excuse me, let's start over. A culture of white supremacy. No small part of these actions is informed by an ingrained culture of white supremacy, rather than a philosophical commitment to Zionism. Zionist professors, students, politicians, governments, even the corporations profiting from genocide are presumed to have the right to comfort, to be protected from being confronted with the consequences of their actions or those which they support. Whether it's photos of families whose murders they've encouraged or physical damage to their weapons manufacturing plants, this right to comfort is protected through the stoking of fear. Palestinians and their allies are scary for disrupting classes. 4. The reminder that armed resistance to colonial domination is protected under international law. For insisting that their communities, for insisting that their communities must change in order to no longer be complicit in this genocide. These are all characteristics of white supremacy, along with denial, rewriting history, denying reality, legitimizing genocidal violence, erasing the historical reality of Palestinians as a collective. Erasing the historical reality of Palestinians as a collectivity? Oh, okay. Then I don't think I read it like this before. I almost want to reread that because I just butchered all that, but that's a lot. These are all characteristics of white supremacy, along with denial, rewriting history, denying reality, legitimizing genocidal violence, erasing the historical reality of Palestinians as a collectivity, and the fear. I don't know why I'm struggling with that. These are all characteristics of white supremacy, along with denial, rewriting history, denying reality, legitimizing genocidal violence, erasing the historical reality of Palestinians as a collectivity, and the fear of conflict when this denial is challenged openly. Palestinians and allies in the West who see the urgency of responding to and disrupting genocide and settler colonial violence and act accordingly confront all of these basic tenets of white supremacy and more. From within personal interactions to the culture of political organizing spaces, which to interactions with the state and its representatives, to penalties in the workplace. We find the evidence of this role of white supremacy not only in responses to Palestine solidarity organizing, as described above, but also in the types of people who are the primary targets of Zionist backlash. Actually, I'm glad I was stumbling with this word, collectivity, because it forced me to read this shit like time. I was not doing it on purpose. Y'all know I struggle with the most weird words too, or like words that sometimes shouldn't be an issue. But this part here, these are all characteristics of white supremacy. And it's like, come on. What have I been saying? And I'm not saying I've been saying it, but that's all I've been trying to communicate. That's all I've been trying to communicate. No, I know what it meant. It felt weird saying that there and not collectively. I would love to know the grammatical reason for why erasing a historical reality of Palestinians as a collectivity. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just want to know like how that works functionally. I want to know how English works in general, bro. It is well known that Israeli border bureaucrats have used Canary Mission and other such sites to screen visitors seeking entrance to Palestine in the past. But the use is generally deployed in an uneven, racialized manner. Those with Arab names or other identifiers, Muslim names or other identifiers, those who visited other Arab or Muslim countries, those who are black or brown. These are the primary targets against whom Canary Mission has been used as a monitoring and vetting tool at the border. These are the people most often pulled aside for secondary screening, simply on the basis of background name or appearance, and these are the people who make the vast majority of the targets of institutional and state violence in response to the rejection of the complicity in genocide. Yeah, I'll drop the link again, sorry. Thank you for asking. Remember, y'all, we're sticking around here for the Little Bill's Zionist video dropping. Dropping at 4. If YouTube, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Yeah, no, yeah, just in the article. Yeah, no, I understand that it's correct and it's the correct usage of it. It just felt weird to say in that place, right? Yeah, I saw that. Rava. It's just unfortunately the individual criticizing him was like off the mark on so much that it allowed Hassan Piker's cultists to kind of redirect the conversation on accurate criticism. That's why I haven't covered it, because I was just kind of like, I don't want to give him that fucking free dub, I guess. It's just funny how they're hypercritical of him, but not their fucking cult hero. All right. Last year, the US government confirmed it was using Canary Mission as a resource to identify student protesters for deportation based on their Palestinian solidarity activism. In the United States and elsewhere, other marginalized populations are easy targets, both because many folks recognize the violence of colonialism and genocide in Palestine and empathize, and also because they often have less institutional power. This means that alongside Palestinians, it is other Arabs, Muslims, and Black and Brown communities that are also primary targets of state and institutional Zionist violence for their expression of solidarity with Palestine. So yes, for Palestinians and those in solidarity with them, Zionists do control our world. Not because these figures are necessarily philosophically invested in Zionism itself, but because they will enforce it, even unknowingly, to protect their own interests against those of us harmed by their interests and those in solidarity. Those invested in white supremacy and the continuation of empire and capitalism and all of their evils are not just occupying space in our governments, they are also in charge of cultural institutions, universities, news organizations, charities, watchdog groups, NGOs, and more. They are teachers, border officers, police, TSA, bureaucrats in government offices, doctors, students, politicians. For those of us who are committed to Palestinian liberation, those people on the other side are profiting off of our genocide. For those of us who are committed to Palestinian liberation, those people on the other side who are profiting off of genocide are always there, wielding their power however possible to prevent disruption and making life as hard as possible, getting us fired or expelled, preventing us from traveling, imprisoning us, deporting us. Yeah, I mean, this kind of, again, is because of the white supremacy aspect of it, but it is very reminiscent of back in the day, you didn't know who was a Klan member. And it could have been it was all those individuals. It was individuals that were doctors, judges, police officers. All these people were in the Klan. Now it's not so much that they're in the Klan. Now is that they're just fucking racist, that they're white supremacists, that they're supporting Zionism. And this is why we can't, we need a new society. We cannot maintain a society. I don't give a fuck if it's socialist, communist, well, it wouldn't be anarchist, but you get what I'm saying. I don't give a fuck about that. If it's still under the control of these colonizers. Mamdani could bring in fucking democratic socialism and I will still oppose it because it will still be a settler colonial project. Right? What these liberal Zionists want, the new vanguard of the liberal Zionist movement, a one state with equal rights, should still be opposed because it still grants and still allows, just like it was in South Africa, how it is in South Africa, control and maintaining land that colonizers took. Rather than dissuade us from action, the Zionist efforts to disrupt our lives must be opportunities to learn from each other and work together. that our lives are altered by these experiences is important to recognize because it illustrates that we see and can understand how these systems work, how they are interconnected, and why they function the way they do to support one another. Whereas, having spent so long demanding our erasure or pretending we already don't exist, those on the other side do not apprehend us. As in Palestine, having greater knowledge of your oppressor than they do of you is certainly a boon, especially when it comes to strategizing organized resistance. The important thing is not to fall into despair or allow ourselves to be contained by the illusion of justice proffered by the advocates of empire. Jesus, bro. Mohammed Al-Kurd covers this topic much more eloquently and deeply in Perfect Victims and the Politics of Appeal. He does cover it, but where I would push back and the hardest here, much more eloquently and deeply. Stop. Lara, that is as eloquent and for the platform, for the article, as deep as you can get. So none of that fucking shit. All right. This was an amazing article that was fucking had me in the verge of tears multiple times, that communicates exactly why you're fucking correct with such grace and detailed that it's fucking admirable. Recommend Mohammed Al-Kurd's Perfect Victims any day of the week. I will too. We all should. But don't be hyping somebody else up more than what you and the work that you fucking did. So thank you for this article, Lara. I appreciate you. Y'all, please read it on your own. It's different when you read these things on your own. So this was a great article, man. I was fighting back because, a lot of these things, even though obviously I'm not comparing myself to Palestinians, but a lot of these experiences against white supremacy can be shared when you're not a white fucking person. We got like 6 minutes. I know the chat got a little dead once I start reading, so let me know if y'all are still awake. I appreciate y'all so much. A lot is going on for me personally. A lot of unexpected things. That I'm not going to get into, but the support of this community is something that I appreciate, something that I never expected to have. and I was just out here talking my shit. So I'm grateful for that. I'm just trying my best, and I'm going to fail a lot. I try not to be petty and shit, and I can't help it. It's just who I am. It's in my nature. I wish I could move on from a lot of this shit and not bring up the Sam Cedars, the Georges, the Hassan Pikers, the Little Bills. I wish I could. Maybe in a therapeutic way, these videos will help. I never want to speak about Little Bill after this video drops. Not gonna lie to you. I just, the arrogance of this motherfucker. Man, it was so bad. Listening to it over and over, you start picking up more of the energy and the mannerisms. And I'm just like, damn, bro, this YouTube shit, having this audience just made you believe that your word is enough. Forget studying. But anywho. So yeah, maybe I'll just take that approach and just fucking, I really, and especially where I am in life and unexpectedly so, there's certain things going on that makes me or have made me realize that I need to focus on more serious things. I'm not saying this isn't serious. We should all be combating the normalization of Zionism and the excuse of Jewish people's role in it, whether American, European, from Europe or wherever the fuck, whether black or white. So I don't want to dismiss that aspect of it. But I do want to get into a little move away from the petty personal shit and really invest in doing the work, doing the knowledge, and producing better content, more substantial content for sure. In other words, I want to take the opposite trajectory, I should say, of George. I think George allowed the internet to fucking rot his brain and to you know, make him into this. Maybe he always was a narcissist. I don't know. If you're writing about your fucking childhood trauma online for attention, you probably were a narcissist. Are a narcissist, so I get it. But I want to go in the opposite direction where I'm like doing less drama bullshit. I'm always happy to introduce people to these characters. But also, man, it really is. If I'm not going to get a fucking scrap with these fools, what the fuck is the point? And that's honestly, what the fuck, bro? If like we ain't going to fucking put them up, then why the fuck are we talking shit? We're just barking at this point. I hate that shit. You know, I was hanging out with one of my best friends. I consider him a brother. This was a straight up fucking maniac, right? And I love him to death. And he always reminds me of like, oh shit, yeah, I could always be doing a whole lot of other nonsense to get by if I really wanted to. But here's the thing. The way I met him, and we got like 2 minutes left before it drops. The way that I met him was in middle school, summer school. I would just talk shit to everybody. And I was just trying to have a good time. And sure enough, I'm talking shit to him. And he just wasn't used to that. And I remember in the middle of class, and mind you, this class was in the cafeteria. That's how large the class was, so you get away with a lot. And I did. And in the middle of class, stands up, that's fucking it, stand up, let's fight, this and that. And he'll tell you the story. I'm dying fucking laughing. Because I know. And I love him to death. And now it's different. But back then, I knew that a real motherfucker would have stood up and just started swinging. If you stand up and you start talking shit, you're just trying to present. You're trying to give a performance. Nah. That's never been my style. If you would have stood up and started swinging, then we would have had it out. I've had those interactions where I was another one of these fucking homies that I lost touch with, but chill dude. We just didn't click. We didn't click. This would drops like a pencil or something. And because I'm me, and back then it was even worse, he bends down to pick it up. And so he's right by my desk, and I put my foot over whatever it was, pencil or paper, whatever. Put my foot over it. Like a piece of shit, right? He looks up at me and just swings at me. But Anakin, I have the higher ground. So I kind of roll the punch, still hits me, and I immediately respond, and now I'm bringing down my weight with it. And I catch him in the back of the ear. We were cool after that. Sometimes that's all you need. All right, let me drop the link to this. Let me share this. I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much. I did fuck up. No poem today. Hold on. We got 2 minutes. I'll read the poem. Let me know if that link works. It should work. All right. Remember what Glenn Ford said. Organize with eyes wide open. I love running into those fools, by the way, like at the bar and shit like that. They're fucking hilarious. They're the funniest fucking people you can know. And you know, Tony Soprano's right. To quote Little Bill, Tony Soprano's correct. You know, reminiscing and the remembers whens is the lowest form of conversation. But with a few drinks and when it's been a fucking few years and not people you've been hanging out with, you know, forever, that always helps. And I'm fortunate that I have close friends and people that I consider like family, my brothers, who I don't get to see too often, but when we do, it's, you know, it's beautiful. And they remind me why I'm a hermit that stays at home, because chale, bro, these foods go hard and I try to keep up. All right. The Beast by John Trudell. In a wisp of smoke down on the corner, there was this cat named Fortunate Lee, talking at me from voices in his head, yelling about what Storyteller said. You got to be careful here, child. There's a beast in the promised land. There's madness you don't understand. The beast is crazed and running wild. Little boy, man, little girl, woman, no big deal, nothing personal. Your mind's another meal. Savoring the rush of you like heady wine, feeding is what the beast is meant to do. Strange are those walls built to hide, stranger to look and learn not to see. He's in the mask you put on your face. Thoughts, his favorite breeding place. In the race to midnight, it's after 11. The nature of the beast is all he knows. Behind doors of hell are gates of heaven. Doors are open, but the gates are closed. Jump on over. I appreciate y'all. Give me the harsh criticism in the comments of this Little Bill video. I want to know. I tried working on the audio this time, so hopefully that helps. But I'm always trying to improve. Moving forward, Grand PLATNER's fucking next. You already know. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, estuvo.